And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
All right, let's take off because it's time for the Weighing In podcast. Josh Thompson and myself here to talk about a plethora of fights. We had the Eagle FC.
Jeez.
We had one championship. We had Bellator. We had the UFC. We got a ton to talk about. I need a throat lozenge. Let's go.
There was so much yelling, so much fun, so much gambling this weekend.
Ooh.
And John, you guys can. I feel like I should take my 10% right off the top.
Because
you guys all were like,
you are one of the worst
players
when it comes to blackjack I've ever sat. I am sitting there telling you, you
John,
better
did
not.
I win?
You hit that. I swear to God.
And how many times did I win when I did that? Like almost every time. Almost every time I hit it, and almost every time I won. There's like one or two times out of the 2 hours we sat there and played. By
you
the
had
way.
one. I'll give you one that you should not have hit that you won on. That's the one.
Did we have a good time though?
We had a blast.
I gotta tell you, man, it was so much fun. We got a table of everybody together, and it was awesome. Nordy had no idea what the hell he was doing, so he's like, "Josh, do I hit here? Hey, John, do I hit here?"
Did, man.
He's like, "What do you mean split them? What do you mean by double down? What's
Why
double
am I
down
putting
mean?"
more money out?
I was like, "Give him more money." He's like, "Oh, what? Okay." He just didn't know. What
He walked
doing.
away happy.
Yeah, he did. I think he came up like 300 or 400, 300, I think, and then I came away with 500, and then Amanda came away with 450 or something.
Oh man,
which then got donated to
on fire. She had donated to my wife's animal rehab thing, Fred's Friends, so that they got some money. That was incredibly kind of her. She didn't have to do that.
What is it called? Say it again. Fred's Friends.
Fred's Friends. We had the thing that started my wife off on her animal rehab thing was a baby possum we found. It was Fred.
That's right. I
and
remember
then Fred. Fred ended up dying. He got a disease, then he ended up dying, and so that's what she named her.
You have to explain the disease because I don't want my animals or my pets going to your rehab if they're dying. Okay, so you have to explain what he died of. Okay.
No, it was something that he had. You get these different views from animal rehabbers. Don't give them dewormer stuff. Yes, give them dewormer stuff. Well, she listened to one, and he had what was called lungworms, and eventually those take away their ability to breathe. And like possums don't live that long, anyways, but they live about a year.
Yeah.
But he died.
They only live a year
in the wild, about a year, about 3, sometimes in captivity.
Shut up! Really?
Oh yeah. They don't last long.
I never would have thought that. I would have thought like at least 10, 15 years, like a dog.
They don't
or a
last
cat.
long at all, man.
Because
they are here and gone quick, and you can watch them age too. It's like they look a certain thing, and about 1 week they go from 25 to 75. It's crazy.
Wow.
But, yeah.
That, like from the time I met you to the time now.
Oh yeah,
shit.
see, I'm a possum.
Yes. No, the craziest thing is I think the first time I ever saw, I've never seen a possum eat, and Miss McCarthy was laying down the worms, right? She had like the long worms there, and he was just going. Fred was just going to town.
Oh, yeah.
But like the worms moving around, and he's got his claws, and he's like feeding it into his mouth. He's like, yeah.
It was like a big piece of licorice to him, man.
Yeah, it was like watching Podcast Dave eat. So it's just it's like, holy shit. Well, hey, go to WayneInPodcast.com. Pick up some of our merch there. You guys got a bunch of new stuff up there. And Podcast Dave, we've had a lot of requests, like not just in the comment section because I read that, but it's from people in this weekend. They're like, "Hey, when's the Hindsight 50/50 shirt coming out?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if we're gonna make it." They're like, "Dude, cannot wait to buy that if you guys make it." And then we're gonna start calling them Joshisms because I think it was it was Fish, man. Fish they're gonna start calling them all Joshisms.
That's it.
Because I had another really lame one this weekend. What was it? A bird. It was a bird in a hand and two.
A bird in the
bears
hand
or
is
some
better
shit.
than 2 rocks in the bush or something.
Like that. Some rocks in a bush.
What the fuck did you just say?
Everyone's like, "What the hell did you just say?" This is great.
I'll
There
put
it
this
is.
out as a limited edition. So
Yeah.
I'll put it out. So midweek show, we'll announce it, and then we'll have it out for a limited time. So just be
Are you
ready
gonna show it?
to jump
Are you gonna
on it.
show this picture, by the way, on the podcast so they know what we're talking about?
Yes, I will show it, Josh.
like the fighters, you got to show the fighters so they know what we're talking about. You guys,
Yeah.
when he doesn't post the pictures of the fighters,
That's
you
what
guys make
you
sure
should put in the
you hit
comments.
hit the comments. No,
It's
they
like
have.
Podcast Dave falling behind.
Dave gets.
Yeah,
Dave's like, what do you mean you're going to listen to like one person? I'm like, no, Dave, I just don't have the time to screenshot all 50 of them.
No worries, guys. Just
No
make
worries,
sure when
guys.
you write in the comments that you remind Josh and John that you want the show out on Sunday early and not on like Wednesday when it's supposed to be a
Look
Sunday
at Dave.
show. Remind them of that.
Feeling a
Actually,
little
it is.
bit froggy.
Yeah, he is. He is. He must have been drinking at lunch today because it doesn't warm up. And obviously, the way he laughed, it's
You
true.
know it's true.
It's true.
Homeboy's
Oh.
been slamming it
John
back.
and I had a
Well-
little conversation before we got on air. So
Well, just so we can touch on. I gave my New Year's resolution. It's gone, guys. As
Oh,
you guys can
dude,
tell,
hold it.
this weekend was a whole different
it's,
story.
It's not gone. It's
It-
destroyed.
Oh, we had a great time.
The
though.
best
It
part
was
is I'm going to
awesome.
get the blame because we were like, "Oh man, don't take Josh off of his next." Dude, I don't have to take Josh off. He'll fall off on his own, man. What are you talking about?
I was doing just fine, but John just wouldn't let up, man. He kept going, you want this? You want this? Huh? Try this whiskey. Try this whiskey. I'm
Ooh,
gonna get
look
this
at
one.
this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's get into some fights, man. And we had a
Let's
great
go.
weekend. John and I have been having fun. Amanda did a great job at the desk, and Morrow is just a stud as always, and the team did a great job. But John and I will give our critique on the Bellator fights. But first, let's talk about what other fights. Let's go Eagle FC,
go
I think,
Eagle.
and one first. We'll talk those two first. What do you think, Eagle FC?
Look, I'm going to go to exactly what we talked about. What we said is when that
John,
fight was.
wait, were we correct, John?
Yeah.
Were
I
we
think
correct?
were.
That's all I want to
Yeah.
know.
I just, well, from what I was told, there were people in the comments saying that we were crazy, that Kevin Lee was going to destroy. How could you even say that? And like I understand their opinions. And when the fight was first made, I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think Kevin's too fast for him. Not
We're
a
both
good,
the same way.
not a good fight. And then as I thought about it, I go, look, Diego is an odd style. He's difficult to hit. He's just tough as fucking nails.
Yeah.
He is just a tough son of a bitch. And Kevin tends to slow down. You know what? It'll be a competitive fight. I still think Kevin's, the favorite, no doubt about it. But look, Diego's got a chance. And
Yeah.
Diego put up a good fight. Kevin won, no doubt about it. But Diego showed why he is the fucking guy that, won the first Ultimate Fighter, has been there for so long, is never an easy out for anyone. He's just a fucking junkyard dog that just hangs in there, tough as hell. There's never any quit in him. And yeah, he got the loss. Kevin gets the win. Good for Kevin. But you can't say that, he just ran him over. No, he didn't just run him over. He had his moments where he did well. And I was really impressed with him on the ground, the control that he had, because look, Diego's good on the ground. And Kevin was able to land some good shots there. But it was a competitive fight. Wasn't super exciting, but it was competitive.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag for your betting odds. You guys can bet on everything. You got baseball, football, basketball, all of these things are happening right now.
Baseball's back.
March Madness is coming up. And like you said, baseball is back. The owners and the Players Association finally came to agreements on how many millions and millions of dollars they're going to pay each other.
Okay.
This is great. But we go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code weighing in, and John and I will give you guys our advice on the fights, pretty much not on anything else, but in some boxing, some MMA, whether it's UFC, Bellator, whatever odds that you can find on mybookie.ag for boxing, for everything, for combat sports. John and I will give you a little bit of that knowledge, hopefully win you guys some money. But use that QR code right there, that one right there, the one that Podcast Dave is going to put up. And when he puts that up right there, you click on that, use our promo code weighing in. They're going to give you a little extra spending cash, okay, for your first initial deposit. Make sure you guys remember that. Your first initial deposit, if you use that QR code and our promo code weighing in at mybookie.ag. Yeah, I think Khabib, he had put out a tweet and it said, at 40 years old, Diego still making it difficult for some of the top level talent. And it's absolutely true. I mean, no matter how you guys want to look at Diego, with his personal life, his fighting style, whatever it is, he takes a lot of damage. He's always taken a lot of damage. Not early in his career, he didn't take a lot of damage, but as he got older, he started taking more damage, just more of a reckless style of fighting. But he was always super fun to watch fight. And he's always extremely talented. There was a threat everywhere, whether it was on the feet or on the ground. But then it just got into this, like, okay, let's just brawl. He became more of a crowd favorite, and then he fed into that. And that's what led into towards the end of his career. That's all he was doing. From the Gilbert Melendez fight to a bunch of other fights I could get into. But the Gilbert Melendez one is one of the ones that comes to mind distinctly.
Incredible fight.
Yeah, it was in Houston. I was calling that fight. It's cage side. I was not at the. I wasn't cage. I was like right there on the inside of the cage, and they were having me call the fight and my reactions to it. The UFC was at the time, and I was like, wow, this is just insane, just absolutely insane. But when we were talking about this fight being put together, you and I said the same thing when they first matched. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
I'm like, it's not for Diego, man. I'm like, Kevin Lee he's more powerful, he's stronger. He's younger. He's faster. I mean, like he's longer. He's got all the attributes. And look, and I've always said, I'm a huge Kevin Lee fan. I just wish he could get out of his own way. I don't know whether it's mental, which I believe it is, or it's just something in his body that he just can't seem to get the relaxation to dip into that cardio, because as the fight goes on, it doesn't matter who he's fighting, he slows down dramatically. And so as we got closer to the fight, John, this week, when we talked about it last week, it was like, you know what? Diego's got a chance.
Yeah.
He's got a chance in terms of, like you said, he's awkward.
Yep.
And if I thought Diego was going to wrestle more in the beginning, but he didn't. He kept it on the feet, kind of kept it, but then, I don't know if it was a kick that made it happen, but something happened to Kevin Lee's knee throughout in the fight. And that was the change of the tide. And I thought for sure that Diego was going to keep going to the kick. He didn't go to it as much as he should have went to it. But it actually, I know, he should have went to it a little bit more.
He tried staying.
Yeah, he tried. But Kevin was doing a good job of moving it out of the way, kind of lifting it, kind of turning it, switching stances. And so I thought Kevin showed a more mature fight style. But when we talked about the fight, it really came down to Diego Sanchez did exactly what we thought he was going to do. And he was going to go out there, put on a show, put on a fight, and it was going to be a tough fight for Kevin Lee. Despite the knee, even if the knee wasn't hurt, it still would have been a hard fight for Kevin Lee. Because in all those scrambles and all the stand-up and all the exchanges, you got to chase after him. You've got to walk after him. You've got to because he moves so much. Diego's going to be land, move, land, move. And that gives fits to everyone. If you're not used to fighting that style, you're like, gosh, man, stop moving. You're chasing him.
Every time you want to set your feet, he's moving, and you've got to pick up your feet and move them. Now
and when you miss punches, it takes your cardio out of you, John. You know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't a barn burner of a fight, but there was a little bit of drama in there because of the knee with Kevin Lee and Diego Diego doing what Diego does, making it a dog fight, And so I think overall, I mean, we got what we thought we were going to get. Yeah. And we thought the person that was going to win was going to be the one that won. And Diego put a fight up that we thought he would put up, and everyone that was telling us, you guys are so stupid. You guys are dumb. Like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I was like, what do you guys forget about Diego's life, his career? Yeah. Like, he's made a ton of people look bad, like they didn't belong in there. And Kevin, coming off the losses he's been coming off of, did you think he would be any different? And so that's what I was surprised. You listen to everyone say, like, Diego's got no chance to get knocked out first round. He's going to get, whatever. And I'm like, no. I mean, it's been a long time since Diego's been finished, I think, in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just one of those guys. He's a stud. He's always going to be a stud. Yeah. So I didn't get to see, I couldn't find it, was the Ray Bork and Ricky Bandejas fight. You said you got to watch it.
Yeah, I watched it.
I really wanted to watch that fight because I really love Ricky. And I love Ray Borg as well because, when there was a lot of that support going around for his son. And so I remember I bought a bunch of shirts, from him and just kind of distributed them out to family and friends. But, I wanted to see that fight. I didn't get to see it. I heard there's a little bit of controversy. John, talk me through it.
It was a close fight. In watching it, I had it scored for Bandejas. I thought he won the fight. But, when you have a close fight like this, it can go the opposite way. And it depends on what angle the judge is seeing things at and stuff. I thought Bandejas used his length really well at times. At times he didn't. And Borg was able to get into him and had his little rushes and stuff. But it's a close fight. When you have a fight like this and it's a split decision, if you're Ray Borg and you win it, you go, I lucked out. if you're Ricky Bandejas and you lose it, you got to go, I can't complain because I left things out there that I should have done to make a difference, so there was never a doubt. And you got to learn from those things. But, both of them are great family guys. Both of them are just stellar individuals. I'm glad to see Ray win because, his whole thing with his family and why he's fighting and stuff. It's tough to see Ricky lose because he's lost a couple now that you go, man, we're talking it was, this, or it could have, definitely gone your way, and that can make a difference in his career and stuff. So, but it was a good fight, competitive fight, a lot better than the Eagle heavyweight championship fight that went on between Anthony Hamilton and Ankalaev. That one was like, okay, it's over. There was a quick guillotine choke into it and stuff, but it was a good competitive match. It was actually one of the better matches on the card that I was able to watch, so I enjoyed it.
What other fights on here? Did you see any other ones, John? Yeah,
I saw Impa. That was another split decision, and I had it going for Magomed Ankalaev. It was, again, you're just not in those moments where you need to step on the gas and really go after him to try to prove that, hey, I'm the guy that's, I'm the one that's leading this. Wasn't there, and so I understand why he lost that one. And but there was a couple in there that were interesting. Noshan Burrell had a decision loss. Definitely he lost it and stuff. But he went to 3 rounds. I was kind of surprised that he made it through the 3 rounds. Archie Colgan, who actually fought in Bellator in I want to say Sioux Falls, actually got himself out of a buggy choke, which I was very impressed when he slammed his way out of a buggy choke. He got a win against Dylan Mantello, and look, Mantello's good, young, strong fighter. He's out of Ray Longo's, the Law MMA. Put on a good fight, but Archie just tough as nails, good wrestler. I enjoy watching Archie. I'm upset with Bellator that they let him get away and go to Eagle. So, but it was a nice win for him.
We found that with a couple of fighters. I don't know what the deal is. I think, John, you and I have a little bit of that frustration sometimes. Like, why is this person like Joaquin Buckley? Yeah, he lost to Logan Storley, and it was like, okay,
you got rid of him.
And you're like,
good fighter,
explosive. He's good. He's smaller for the 85-pound weight class, but he's too big for 70, so he struggles to make the 70, right? Yeah. But he's explosive, got power, and he brings the fight and the action. That's what you want. So you guys, when you guys talk about, because I see some like, oh well, so and so, why'd they cut him? I'm like, look, we don't make those decisions. That's look, we're just there to call the fights. We're there to talk about the fighters we have. And we love the fighters that we have, but we wish there were some fighters on our roster that we would have kept, not just the ones that have gone to Eagle, not just the ones that have gone.
And there's some fighters I'd like to see him get rid of.
Yeah, yes. There's also some fighters that I'd like to see that I know had interest in coming that we just didn't get contracts done, but they went to other organizations, and I'm like, damn. Yeah. So there's a little bit going on, but we've signed a lot of great talent as well that we love. So I love calling a lot of these guys. You want to get into
ONE FC?
ONE FC.
Got to go to one. Now I only watched 2 of the fights, so
yep, I'm the same way.
Okay, I watched Gary and Dan
Lee.
Yeah, man, this is one of those ones you look and I was impressed with Gary in the beginning as far as he looked like he was comfortable with his stand up, looked like he was okay. He knows where he wants to take the fight. He knows he wants to bring it to the ground, and he kind of jumps to his back, almost jump guard, but jump towards the leg lock. And you look and you go, man, leg locks especially when a fighter is fresh and stuff. Yes, it's better when he's not wet and sweaty for your chance to make it actually stick. But you've got to control his lower half. You cannot just control one leg. You control one leg in MMA, you're taking a huge risk of someone being able to pound a fucking hole in your head. And that's what happened here with Thon Lee. He just kept on turning the position because there was one leg entwined, and you saw Gary almost getting the heel hook. Doesn't, slips through, gets hit. Goes after it again, gets hit, slips out, and as soon as it slipped out the one time, One big shot, he's done. Another big shot, put away. And this is where, you it's the leg locks. You will live with them and you will die with them. There's times you're going to get big wins, and there's times someone's going to pound a hole in your head. And that's what happened in this one with Gary.
Yeah, I think this is what I think. I think that Gary should have worked more for getting the fight to the ground, using that that position that he had to sweep and get on top. Instead, he kept chasing the ankle. And when someone's fresh like they fight harder to get out.
Sure.
And they start throwing punches as well as trying to escape. And that's exactly what Lee was doing. He was throwing two big combinations of 1-2 hard punches and then trying to clear the feet off the hips, pushing the feet down. He was doing everything properly when it came to defending it.
Yep.
And I think a little bit of that has to do with some of the credit you're going to give to Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall's been working with him on the leg lock situation.
Oh, and I know there's people pissed off at Ryan Hall for doing that. And it's like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a sport, and people are going to work with other people in this sport. It happens all the fucking time. That's what
I think some
of
the people that are mad at him though just don't like Ryan Hall.
Okay.
That's why.
Well, okay.
So they don't like him because
Hold on.
there's a bunch of reasons why. But
I'll take that back then. No, just kidding.
yeah. I mean, like some of those people that have been posting, I won't. You guys just follow online. You guys can follow it online. Look, Gary made a
mistake.
an error. Not realizing that, the shots were going to be a little bit harder because your head has nowhere to go. It doesn't bounce off the canvas. It just stops.
Yeah.
So those shots, unless he did a couple great things. He hit the leg. He sat back on the heel hook, couldn't get it. Lee was pushing down on the knees. Then what he does, he put his foot in between the legs and bumped him forward, was able to get a better transition on the ankle, couldn't get it tight enough. He was still taking shots. And every time he took a shot, the lock got a little bit looser. The legs got a little bit looser around the knees. And so as they kept fighting, he should have focused more on getting the sweep and getting into the top position. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell him how he needs to finish leg locks because that is not my idea. No, that's his. But when it comes to the fighting aspect of it all, I've always said this. You guys can go back over the years. It's sweep, submit, get up, or submit, sweep, get up. You've got to work for your submission. If it's not working, sweep them and then get to the top position, okay, or get all the way out and start back over. I have to touch back on what you said, though, John. You said exactly. He looked phenomenal on the feet. I'm not saying he should have stood and made it a stand-up war, but he looked pretty damn good.
He looked at least comfortable, and he looked like, I'm okay here, and I can stand here. And I was impressed. You go to Gary's first fight, and you look at his stand-up, and you go, yeah, we got a long way to go there. And that's okay, and that's not saying anything bad. But you can tell the work that he's put in and the progression that he's made, because he actually looked, I was like, damn, he looks good there. He looks comfortable. He doesn't look stiff. He doesn't look like, oh man, he's just in that nervous energy. He looked like, all right, we're good. And it's that whole thing of, let me get this guy out of here. Yes, I love that attitude. I do. But you got to be smart about when you got a guy and he's fresh, he's got a full tank of gas, he's going to have a lot of power, a lot of energy, a lot of ability to blast through things and make it to where he can hang on. And when you are attacking with the ability, I love the Danaher attacks when they take both legs and they control the lower half of the body. Now he can't come up that way. Now he doesn't have the ability to deliver power with the hammer fist, because Josh, we've done tests with hammer fists are incredibly powerful. If people think that, it's just, it's like a kid's thing. No, fucking hammer fists are one of the most powerful blows. In fact, a lot of people will hit harder with a hammer fist than they will with that straight punch. It just generates a ton of torque. And we did it with, pads that measured, the difference. And it was like, it opened my eyes to how they were as powerful as open elbows, full attack. A lot of times, more torque, more power on the hammer fist. So when you're getting hit by that hammer fist, it only takes one well-placed one, put you out. And that's basically what happened with this. So
yeah, the only downfall on the hammer fist is there's definitely more ways to break your hand that way.
Yes, because it's sideways. Yep, absolutely.
Because it's sideways, yeah. So that's the only downfall on him. But, I mean, look, Gary's going to learn from this. I think he's going to continue to get better on the feet.
Oh, I
mean,
think
he
so
looked
too.
good. I thought he looked relaxed. I thought he rushed too much on the legs. But just understanding that, hey, I can't be hanging out down there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys go back in the history of MMA, I mean, the number one fight comes to my mind on someone hanging onto an ankle lock would be Frank Mir and Ian Freeman.
Oh yeah.
That fight comes to mind, and it's just like you got to let it go and either get to the top or kick them away and get back up to your feet and just start over. Because it's not just the punches, John. It's also in those leg lock positions. Yeah, but in that leg lock position, though, it's my ankle could be taken as well at any time. And ankle locks are something that just happens. It happens very quick. So you think you're good, and all of a sudden you're tapping. You're going, oh shit, I was good. Then you're so worried about the attack that you forget that your legs are vulnerable too in a lot of those positions.
Yeah.
I don't think Lee was going to be working for submissions against Gary in that situation, but in that situation, the punches were definitely coming. So, also we had a great fight, an absolute great fight with Bibiano and Lineker. It lived up to the hype. It lived up to the expectations, all the delays, everything. It was a great fight.
Dude, I told you, hey, have you seen it? You go, no. I go, 2.5 minutes, standby bombs are leashed. And it was, dude, they were whapping each other. I love Bibiano. And man, he's been a hell of a fighter, just a hell of a representative and a great champion for for a long time. And he just was in that position where you could see the shots when they were hitting him at times. He was just getting degraded. Each one that landed, you could see a little bit less of him and a little bit less. And it was just, Lineker's a stud, man. He's got power, and he will stand in the pocket and he will throw. And it got to that point at a certain, they started that second round, and you could see Lineker was like, I will eat one to trade every time because I'm going to win this battle. And he was right. He won that battle. And, the one that put Bibiano out, you look and you go, great shot. But Bibiano was fighting his ass off. I thought he hurt him in the first round, and he gets to the top position. I was like, oh, look at this, because I honestly thought Lineker was going to win, and then when Bibiano put him down, I was like, oh man, and but really fun fight. Two guys really going after it with both of them, and Lineker's a stud, man. He will bite down on that mouthpiece and trade with anyone, and that's kind of why he's fun to watch.
You know what surprised me in that fight, to be honest, was that it was super easy for Bibiano to get the takedowns.
Yeah.
That shocked me. That first takedown happened so easily.
Yeah.
And then
ran him across the cage.
Yeah. And I was surprised that he was that he was still that explosive. Bibiano, I've seen him fight for years, called a couple of his fights over and won. He's 41 years old. He still looks like a baby.
Is he
like
41 now?
I think he's 41.
God
Can you
damn.
click on Bibiano there, Dave? Yeah, I think he's 41.
Yeah.
You're right.
41 years old.
You're right, man.
March 30th, he'll be 42. You know what I mean? But look at his face. Look at I'm sure that's an old picture, but even still, when you see him now, when you see him in this last fight, he still looks young. He's freaking yoked. But he was still explosive enough to get in on the takedown, get in deep enough to just run him over, got in the top position. He had some good stuff. Lineker's just a ball of muscle, was able to get back up. But I mean, it was shaping up to be a good fight. He did a lot of good things. I would have liked to have seen him chase the takedown a little bit more as he started getting in trouble. He started standing his ground and exchanging.
Yeah, that was not working out well for him.
Yeah, not a lot of guys have really kind of made him want to show them respect. Bibiano's kind of been the top dog over there for the longest time.
Yeah.
And so not a lot of people are going to make him back up. I thought the kicks were having an effect. He's got good kicks. Remember when we were talking, you're like, oh yeah, Lineker for sure's got the better stand-up. And I said, yeah, I know he's got the better stand-up in terms of he's got the power. He stays a little bit tighter. He doesn't wing it. Bibiano does the caveman thing. And he's able to land shots, but he's got vicious kicks. I would like to have seen him kick the calf a little bit more because he was having some success with it. But those takedowns, they seem like they came so easy. I don't understand why he wasn't utilizing them more to try and slow Lineker down.
Yeah.
But overall, look, it lived up to the hype. It was the fight that we thought we were going to get.
It was a good
I was leaning more towards Bibiano winning the fight because I thought he'd be able to control the top position more. Yeah. And I thought the leg kicks would be a little bit more of a factor. Whereas Lineker's only way of winning was the way he won.
Yes.
I didn't see Lineker submitting him. I didn't see Lineker taking him down. I didn't see Lineker, I just didn't see that. So, and I said if it went the distance, it was probably because Bibiano was able to take him down and control him.
Yeah.
So I thought Bibiano was going to win the fight.
Yeah,
but overall, great fight.
It was great, and it's my whole reason for thinking that Lineker was going to win was Bibiano does exactly what you said. The caveman, he starts to lower his head down and swing hard, and it's like not good against a guy like Lineker. But he did have the ability, and when I saw that first takedown, I was like, if he continues to do this, that was easy. We'll see what happens, and then he got drawn into Lineker's fight.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Lineker
He
pulled
looked
him
like
into that brawl.
You said, though, it looked like he got depleted pretty significantly after that first round. In the second round, he started taking some big shots early. And I was like, ooh, he's taking some heavy shots. And then you could see he started to slow down.
Yeah.
He, even his movement when he was circling left and right, it just wasn't as fast, and he wasn't moving out of the way as fast. And you could tell he was starting to get depleted. So
when he came out of the when he went to his corner after the first round and he sat down, I was looking at him. I go, not looking good for him.
No, you got 4 more rounds.
But again, it was a good fight, man. And congratulations to John Lineker, who goes and he becomes the one FC champion there in the featherweight division, right? I think it's featherweight.
Yeah, it's featherweight.
Yeah, it's their version of featherweight. Yeah, but they all walk around about 165. It's insane. Yeah. I didn't watch the rest of the card. I know you just said you didn't either. So those are the 2 fights that we watched. Dave, let's go into Bellator. Okay. You want to go from the main card down? What do you want to talk about?
Now let's hit the prelims real quick as far as this thing. So, and the reason why is as simple as it gets is I got to talk about at least one fight on the prelims.
Two.
Okay.
Cody Law.
Cody Law looked good. Cody. Goddamn, he looked good.
Yeah.
Cody Law's he called his shot too, man. You know, he called the exact time he finished that fight in the back.
That's nuts. That's a little suspect, but it's
I'll tell you, man. But going into that, I knew I'd watch James fight. James actually had a good submission game, but I'm like, he can't get Cody down. His wrestling's just not good enough to get him down, so he's going to have to try to hurt him in the stand-up. And I thought Cody was just much cleaner in his technique in the stand-up, so that wasn't going to be an easy task for him to do. But got to give it, man. Cody Law's looking good. 6-0 now.
John, what I loved about him was the way he, I said it a couple times on air. I said, I liked how he landed the combination. He stepped right, cut the angle, changed the way the punches were coming. The angles of the punches were coming at a different angle. Boom, boom. Nicely done. He hit him with the left hook. Then he stepped to the right. He drugged the left hook over to the left. So he hit him with the left, and as he did that, he was stepping to the right already. And just right. And then he sat his weight down and threw the right hand. I was like, holy shit. That's like that next level type stand up.
And it
was
also
impressive.
It was also like he didn't crush the space once. He hit him, he hurt him, you could see it. He hits him and he goes down and he kind of takes a step off to that right as he's getting up. Now he's perfect. Boom, hits him with the left. Boom, he goes down again, gets up. Boom, hits him with the right. You go, oh my God, just dismantling him. And, he gave credit to, Artem Levin, who is now at ATT as a striking coach. And Artem Levin was a fucking beast in glory. That dude was a stud. So they're learning from a talented guy, man. And he said, he's made a huge difference in my understanding of angles when it comes to the fight. And you go, well, it is obvious it's working because, man, Cody, you looked fucking phenomenal. Beautiful. Yeah. It was the way that knockout happened because it wasn't a one-punch knockout. It was a series of punches that each one just added on top of the other, and it was the precision and the calmness of how he did it. That was impressive at a guy that is still super young in his career. Yeah,
I agree. The other guy that I want to talk about, there's actually another one as well, but the Roman Feraldo.
Oh, yes.
There's Roman Feraldo. You have to give him love. Mr. Call his shots, Babe Ruth. But in this situation, I mean, he obviously possesses power. He's had 2 flying knee knockouts. He's, 7-0 now. 7-0, 7 finishes, 3 KOs and 4 TKOs. Just impressive. This fight here, he dropped the guy with a jab, then followed up with some vicious ground and pound.
You know, and Josh, you got to say, yes, he put him on his butt with the jab, but it's not only that he put him on his butt, he hurt him. Did you see Kelvin Raper's
his arm went back
arms
behind him?
You know, and you go, oh man, he can't control his body. That's how hurt he is from that. Geraldo's got power, man. The guy, and he's just a good fucking guy and a stud, explosive. They need to take that guy and start putting him against people in that freaking division. He's gonna make some noise. He's good.
Yeah, I think we got to slow play him a little bit, though. I mean, I know we want to get him up in there, but at 170, if you look at that division, John,
there's some killers.
He's got his hands full. He'd have his hands full. I know he called out MVP because there's, because of the Yaroslav Amosov situation. He's like, hey, Yaroslav's my boy. I'll step in for that fight if I need.
Tell me you wouldn't like to see him against Derek Anderson.
I'd like to see him against Derek Anderson or Sabah Homasi.
Yeah,
those are the two I'd like to see him against. Him and Sabah Homasi,
but they're teammates.
Who gives a shit? I'm not trying to be friends right now, are we?
Past that.
You got to let me call this shit out, John. Come on. No, I get it. I mean, like, I wouldn't want to see. I would like to see them fight beforehand, but I understand if they're in the same team, the same gym. Title shots. Here we go. When there are title shots on the line, when the title's on the line,
titles
get after it.
Yeah, that's like Rafael Stotts against Sergio Pettis. It's like. Yeah, listen, look, I kind of like that they pulled that one off, and I'm going, hey, when it comes to the title, friendships are on the side. This is business. I'll be your friend after we're done. But
because the agreement was when they both got signed, there was like if you won it because Pettis got signed, then he fought for the title and then won it. It's like if Stotts is going to be around, you guys got to agree. If it's for the title, you guys got to fight. So now it just so happens they're like, hey, we want to make sure there's it's a clear running all the way to the title. So
it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think it was. I agree. And the simple fact of the matter is, John, you get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And it creates the buzz of that tournament. It's like the champ's fighting his best friend. His number one training partner. His training partner in the first round. Holy shit.
Yep.
But Roman Geraldo, good stuff. Nice work. The last fight on the prelims we're going to talk about, which probably should have been on the main card. And I'm gonna touch on this fight, was Alex Polizzi against Gugu.
Yep.
And when that fight happened, I wanted to see that fight get up to the main card. And so the reason why, there was just some juggling. It almost did. Almost made it there. It was a great fight. But I'm going to go in a little hard on the paint here because I'm going to tie this fight to another fight on the UFC card. And John, are you thinking of the fight that I'm thinking of, or do you know what I'm talking about?
Go, baby, go.
Terrence McKinney and Gugu fight exactly the fucking same way. You guys, I mean, when John and I talk about fight IQ,
just take the fight IQ and just throw it.
I get about being exciting. I understand, but when you rock somebody the way that both of these guys had their opponents rocked, I was thinking to myself, slow down, choose your shots, get after it, but just keep the range. Just do those things. And it wasn't there. John, it wasn't there. I was like, what are you guys doing? I just couldn't believe it. Because look at who you are fighting. Alex Polizzi, a wrestler. Drew Dober, not a great wrestler, but he's got some wrestling.
Fucking dude who's got wrestling.
He's gritty, but he's shorter and stockier. He's gonna ball up. He can just grab you and just kind of, and kind of like ball up so you can't hit clean shots in. And Polizzi's very similar in that way. And so when I saw these fights happening, I'm thinking to myself, the way it was going down. So first with Gugu, because we're talking about Bellator now. He hit him with the flying knee, drops him, smothers everything he's got. He is so... Go ahead.
Let's be honest. Josh, he didn't just hit him with that flying knee.
I'm surprised.
I am amazed.
Yeah.
And this is... I want people to understand why. Look, when you talk about weapons for a fighter, and you're talking about punches... Look at punching. There's guys that got punching power, and I'm here. Augusto's got punching power. The guy that beat him in his last fight was Rumble Johnson. most guys will say, there's guys out there that got a 22 caliber in their hands. Okay, it's not that it can't hurt you, but it doesn't put a big hole in you, and it doesn't.
I got BB guns, bro.
Okay, it's all right. You were a 22 caliber, and that's where you get guys that they're volume fighters, and you'll get a guy that he can swat. You're looking at a guy with a 357. That's Anthony Rumble Johnson. Yeah. But when you talk about other weapons, and you're talking about kicks and knees, and I tell people all the time, look, a kick, you're talking about, you're a 45 caliber. It's heavy. It carries a lot of weight behind it. So when it hits, it just has an impact and a torque that just takes in
it's called more knockdown power, John.
Yes, and it puts you out. And look at knees are short, heavy weapons that absolutely take people and put them unconscious on contact. And it's not like Augusto did not land that knee well. It was perfect. And it hit Polizzi in the middle of the goddamn face and knock his head back. The only thing that kept his head from going into the first row was the attachment that God gave him with his neck.
His spine.
And I was amazed that he wasn't out.
Yeah, I was.
And he held on, and this is where you're talking about fight IQ with Augusto, because he ends up going to the one place where he can't win the fight because he already proved it in the first round. He's on the ground, and all of a sudden Polizzi's holding on to him, and it's coming back. He goes for the armbar. It was tight. Polizzi works his way out of the armbar, and eventually Polizzi works his way to the top position and is putting it on Augusto, and you go, dude, you are a fucking animal. Yeah. You are a savage, because I have not seen many people be able to survive that knee, and to come back in this round after what you have taken is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Everything you just said is ditto. I was baffled watching Gugu chase after him, push him, crush the space so much. He was just basically in his guard or in the mount position or in 3/4 mount. Exactly where Polizzi wanted him to be, because now it's easier for me to get to a wrestling position, hang up on a single leg, maybe get a reversal, get to the top position, which I believe he ended that round in mount.
Oh my God, he did multiple times. He was in mount.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, he just made a brain fart after brain fart in every situation. I'm like, but he's fun to watch fight. Gugu is. And Polizzi is as well. Polizzi's only losses to Julius Anglickas. And it wasn't a back and forth fight, but he was putting the pressure the whole time, and Julius was just snapping the jab in the face, and he couldn't take Julius down. But he fought a great fight. What a stud! We saw him in the casino afterwards, and he's got cotton swabs coming out of his nose. He's got trickles of blood kind of down by his lip and on his chin, and I was like, man, this guy's out just having a good time, realizing hey, all the hard work's over, it's done.
Oh yeah.
But overall, those are the fights that you're looking for. It made it fun. It made it a good fight because one person has no fight IQ, and the other person. I even talked to Gugu's corners after. He's like, what'd you think? And I was like, you guys got to get him to realize, because the same thing happened with Anthony Rumble. He drops Rumble, and then he smothered the space, and Rumble was able to grab him. And he was like, and then he kind of dropped Rumble again, and he smothered the space again and lost the position. He just flurried so fast and crushed the space so much that nothing clean landed. And you ruined your opportunity, because that would have put him in the semifinals against Nemkov.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, it baffled me. It baffled me, John, that was the situation, that he fought that way, that careless, given the circumstances. But overall, it made for a fan favorite fight that night. It was it was a great fight.
I made the comment, look, Josh, I've seen thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fights. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen, based upon Alex Polizzi and his desire to not give in, his desire to come back, and what he did. Just amazing. I loved it.
Good stuff. Gadzi Rabadanov, he fought J.J. Wilson, giving J.J. Wilson his first loss of his career. J.J. now is what, 7-0 or 7-1?
8-1.
8-1.
8-1.
Okay, 8-1. And the story was, when we talked to Gadzi, he's like, I'm going to keep it on the feet, probably going to knock him out. But then he realized it's so much easier just to wrestle you, take you down, and just dominate everything I do from there. And that's what he did. He just realized, hey, these rounds are a little close.
He was
Probably
losing the fight on his feet.
Yeah, which was crazy. I was expecting him to be dominating the fight on the feet and then sprawl and brawl or get a takedown to solidify the round.
Yeah.
I really look at what Islam Mamedov does. Like he strikes a little bit, gets the takedown controlled. I thought if Gatsby was going to keep it on the feet, he's a lot more active of a fighter on the feet than Islam is. So he would just let the hands go, boom, 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 and let the hands go. And then when they were touching him, he'd probably get a takedown to probably secure the round. I thought maybe he'd fight that way. Once he realized this round was probably too close in the first round, he just was like, forget it. I'm going to the wrestling, making sure I secure this win. He had some good stuff on the feet, but the transitions for the wrestling, the threatening of a position, all of those things, I thought he fought a brilliant fight in terms of, look, I guess when you're getting to these levels, right, because Gatsby and JJ are ranked in the higher rankings. And the same thing with like Johnny Eblin and Salter and Phil Davis and Glitskis.
Well, JJ's not ranked because he's moving up. He moved up from featherweight into.
Well, they still have him in the 45s.
Yeah,
I saw that. They still have him in the 45s. But still, they were both highly ranked. Both good fighters. Gatsby just came out. He was prepared for everything. He's a stud. I mean, I've trained with him before. I've seen him training. I've seen him sparring. He's a stud, man. He's going to be difficult for a lot of these guys in this 140 or in the 155-pound division. He's a little small for the weight.
Yeah.
A tiny bit.
Yeah, because you're looking at JJ coming up from 145 to 155, and he was actually the bigger fighter. Yeah.
The thing that which is kind of surprising because with all the Dagestan fighters, all the Russian fighters, they all cut a ton of weight to get themselves to whatever weight class. He seems like he just walks in. He's like probably walking around about 70. He probably just walks in. I don't think he's much bigger than 70, maybe 73, 72, somewhere in there. He doesn't seem that big.
No, he's not.
I don't know what he walks around at, but he's not that big for a lightweight. So maybe when he gets up to the top and he's having to fight, the guys in that top 55 and the top 3 or 4, he may start having some issues and maybe cut down to 45. But I think right now he's like, why? I'm just going to enjoy eating whatever I want.
And look,
I'm getting wins.
He's got power in his hands. He's got pop.
Yeah.
He
does. He rocked JJ a couple times.
Yes, he did. And say he stung JJ a couple of times. And you could see it. JJ got hit and was like, oh shit. That hurt. And it kind of altered the fight a little bit. I thought JJ actually fought really well against a guy who is pretty composed, solid in his attacks, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. JJ, he had his moments, and he had his chance of winning that fight. It just slipped away with. I think JJ thought on his back he was going to be able to do things that he was unable to do, and that's
what the majority of people that fight people from Dagestan believe.
Yeah,
they believe I got this. I'm able to just get right up. Sure, buddy. No, but just overall, Gatsby looked good. I thought it was the way he needed to win, and he's on to the next one. Yeah. The next one, the human cheat code. That drives me crazy. He's had so many damn names. I know we talked about it on air quite a bit. It was Johnny Eblin versus John Salter. I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest, John. I mean, we both kind of thought that Johnny was going to win this fight, Johnny Eblin, as long as he didn't overcommit on things. He didn't put himself out of position. If he'd made,
didn't make a big mistake.
Be one of those. He didn't make any big mistakes, and that's kind of what happened. Johnny's had a couple knockouts. He's had a couple of vicious ground. Like he's good. He's good all the way around. He's going to be a problem for a lot of people. John Salter, I wanted to see in this fight because he's coming off of his loss to Gegard Mousasi where he just got dismantled. And when we talked to him the other week, he's like, I never understood why people, when they walked in there with Gegard, were like, yeah, I'm just going to take him down or I'm going to get him out of position. He's like, and then I started seeing what he was doing. He's like flinching his legs, giving me feints. He's like, and then when I sprawled on him, he was like, his hips almost knocked me out. He's like, he just fell dead weight on me. He's like, it's crazy. He's like, I could see why. He's like, the whole time I thought he was going to kick me because he kept flinching his legs. He kept turning his hips. He kept moving and flinching and feinting, with the upper body, then moving and twitching the bottom legs. And I'm like, people don't get. And they
big
do.
Dick energy, baby.
I think big dick energy. Yeah, he's got the big dick energy. I said, are you sure it was his leg he was moving, not his third leg? So he's like, I was afraid to get hit with the big dick energy. No, it really came down to the. I want to see what he was going to look like after his loss. Fighting Gegard.
Yeah,
and I thought he looked good. He just was a step behind. He's got to start believing more in his stand-up, John, because he was hitting Eblin too in a lot of those situations.
Yeah,
there were some exchanges.
Some of his counters he was landing some clean strikes out of, but he stopped throwing the counters and started just trying to defend, and it took away. It really altered the fight in that Eblin now became more confident and just started to really control the fight. I love John Salter, and I love the way that he approaches fights, and he's just a good guy. And you can't ask for a better person, and the way he conducts himself and everything. But when you looked at this, this is one of those ones you can see a guy who was, has a really good career in being John Salter, but now where's he going to go with it? Because now you just lost and you put another step back here. That title run that, you got the one, you got to that point where you got your chance at the title. It didn't work out. And now the second run probably isn't going to ever happen.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Especially when you got young studs that are coming up. I know Austin just lost to Gegard as well, but you've got Eblin, you've got Austin Vanderford, you've got Dalton Rasta, you've got Romero Cotton, you've got a plethora of young talented guys that are coming up, and it's like, and they can all wrestle the shit out of people. All of those guys I just mentioned, they can wrestle.
Yep.
And so, and Eblin, I mean, like, I was surprised how easy it was for him to shut down Salter's takedowns. I was extremely surprised. I mean, Salter got in deep on some, and he just gave him the hips.
He didn't sniff one, dude.
No,
not even close.
Nuh-uh.
Not even close.
I was just watching, going, damn, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Johnny Evans is good, and he's getting better. This is the whole thing. Every fight, you're seeing improvements with what he's doing. Yeah. And it's the confidence factor. And even in this one, I thought he started off a little slow, which was kind of smart. I think it's what, they plan to do, is let's see what Salter's going to do. But he kept building in his attack throughout. And he just looked better and better as the fight went on. And by the end, he was dictating where the fight was going to go, when it was going to go there, what range they were going to fight at. He was the guy in control.
Can you pull up the Bellator rankings, please? Look, the reason why I'm saying this, now he's number one. He's the number one contender.
Who's
he's at
number
middleweight.
one?
He will be. Johnny
He should
Eblin.
not be. He should not be.
And
I love Johnny.
Salter.
I know, but it's just.
So who's going to be number one? Vanderford just lost.
Well, let's just be honest. There's a guy sitting there at 30-2 named
Tokov.
I know. That absolutely, his ranking is ridiculous, and the fact that they put him there just is a sham. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Well, I think some of it's the inactivity, John. He's
That's
only had
not
one
his
fight
fault.
in 2 years.
He can't help
It's not
that.
his fault. Yeah, he can't. Yeah. I agree with that. But Tokov is the only guy that I'm interested really right now in seeing fight Gegard Mousasi. I think Johnny Eblin is definitely a talent that is waiting there, but I want to see him
Johnny's
fight
not
guys
ready for him, in my opinion.
He's not ready for him. What I just saw, I think you're talented, buddy. I'm not trying to diss on you.
I just want him to get more. Look at a couple
Yeah.
more fights is going to help you a lot more when you match up with him in that fight.
Yeah. Yep. I want to see Eblin versus maybe Lorenz Larkin. Maybe.
Oh, dude, I'd love to see him
Edwards.
against Lorenz Larkin, and I'd like to see him against. I'm being honest, and it's not that. I would say right now that he's an odds-on favorite to beat Romero Cotton, but he needs that kind of guy.
Yeah.
A guy that's got that wrestling, that it's going to make it difficult, and that has power in his hands. Because look, Gegard's good with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And when you haven't really been touched, you need someone that's going to touch you with some power. And I'm not saying that it's probably not a good fight for Romero overall, just based upon experience. But Romero's just a tough dude.
Yeah.
He's a tough dude. He's a stud, and he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to give in to anybody. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of fights you need to have those fights.
Yep. The beginning portions of Romero Cotton's career started with domination for 1 and 2 rounds, and then round 3 survival.
Yes,
he's gotten better now. But that lets you know that he's a fighter.
Oh,
a lot of guys sometimes in some of those situations in the 3rd round will just turn over and turtle up and just take the L. Yep. And and when it's funny when I talk to his manager Bob Cook, who used to be my manager, he's like, "Look, out of everyone on my roster, he's like, we've got one fighter." He's like, and it's Romero Cotton. He's like, don't get me wrong, everybody on our roster is talented, like on the guys that he manages. They're all super talented. He's like, but none of them have that street fighter, like they grew up being a fighter.
That
like, don't get me wrong, like, they've wrestled, they fought on the street a little bit, but that meanness, that They're ready like he did after his fight. He's there to eat you up. He's there to eat you up, man. He's out there to feast on you.
I like
and
that.
So, I do. Romero, man, he's a stud. But I think Johnny Eblen, as much as you say like that might be a fight for him, I hope not. Because he's not. I work with him. I held mitts for him. I work on some drills with him and stuff. Johnny Eblen's a nasty fight for him as of right now.
Yeah,
especially because he hasn't been able to be active enough.
That's true.
He had back surgery a while back. He had a messed up back for a little bit. He had back surgery, and then that was back in 2020. And then he started coming back. He was ready to fight Dalton Rasta twice. I think Rasta got hurt one time, then he got COVID the second time.
Yep.
And so he's like, "Yeah, I got the COVID,
I got that COVID.
I got the COVID, So, but I love me some Romero Cop, man. He's a good dude. All right, so let's get into Phil Davis, Julius Anglitskis. Anglitskis coming off of his loss to Nemkov, and Phil Davis coming off of his win in his last fight. So you have it's a different perspective. Look, when someone's coming off of a loss, like Anglitskis was, how's their mentality? And you lost to the champ. He lost to the champ in the semifinals of the World Grand Prix because he came in as an alternate. And so when he came in as an alternate, I think it was also on short notice. Was it 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
No, it wasn't. 4 weeks at most. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was around that. I think it was
Rumble had to pull out because of health issues, and he got. I want to say he got a little bit less. There was like 3.5 weeks that he got.
Yeah. So I think what it was. Yeah, I would agree with you. It was. We found out. Well, we didn't find out, but 3.5. The world found out it was 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
I think they told him be ready.
Yeah.
Like almost 4.5, 5 weeks out.
Possibly.
But yeah, I mean, he had a good camp. He just wasn't enough. He was dealing with someone who's been training, always in shape, Nemkov, and he's the champ. He's got a lot to prove. So it just didn't go his way that night. He had some good moments where he dropped Nemkov in the first round. Great performance in that first round. Then he started getting a little tired, started laboring a little bit. Nemkov is one of those fighters that he'll take the wind out of you because of the way he moves so much. And when you're missing shots and you're trying to get takedowns, you're trying to slow him down, you're chasing after him, you tend to slow down, you tend to get tired. So he started laboring, leaving his punches out there a little bit longer. Nemkov started to capitalize on it. Yeah. But I wanted to see how he was because he hadn't lost, in a long time. And so I wanted to see how he was. What was he? He was like, what, 12-1?
10-1.
Wasn't his record
10-1?
Yeah. So he was 10-1, I believe. Now he's 10-2 after the Phil Davis loss.
No, 10-3.
But he's got two. He's got 10-3. So that's what I thought. He had one loss going into the Nemkov fight. Yeah, early in his career. But he is huge. When I talked to Phil in the airport this morning, he goes, I said, you got to go to something else, man. You kept chasing the Kimura. I said, he was strong, huh? He's like, fuck, super strong. He goes, really strong. And I'm like, well, then go to a different submission.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to give up the position because he was so strong. And I'm like, I don't care, Phil. I mean, like, I keep telling him, I'm like, look, Phil, you're so good. You're good everywhere. Like, don't be so concerned about losing the position. Because once he started chain wrestling, the takedowns came easy.
Yes.
The control on the top came easy. Do you want to have to work and get in there again? And he just started putting Anglitskis on his back foot. He wasn't really getting off. And he just was chain wrestling it together again. And Anglitskis, I remember in the commentary, he's still fighting super hard to get up with 20, 30 seconds left in the third round. Yep. The guy was in phenomenal shape.
Yep.
He was just getting out wrestled by one of the best wrestlers.
By a better technician.
In MMA. Yeah, by a better technician when it comes to wrestling. And we talked to Phil that week, and said, hey, bro, there's a handful of guys that have better wrestling credentials than you. And that doesn't even mean that they can wrestle better than you.
No.
You showed that with Yoel Romero, Olympic silver medalist.
Yep.
You out-wrestled him. The timing of the takedowns, the combinations of the takedowns. Phil's got it, man. He's just got to believe more in what he's doing. The last thing I'm going to say about Phil Davis is he's got to find a way to make sure he's getting finishes, John, because I think in this stage of his career, he's got 2 losses to Ryan Bader, who's the champ at heavyweight. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 losses to Nemkov, who's the light heavyweight world champ. Now, if Corey wins, I think he matches up well against Corey. But Nemkov has already proven that he has a way to beat him. So where does he go from here? That's the question. Where does Phil Davis go if Nemkov beats Corey Anderson? I think he goes to heavyweight.
I think he goes to heavyweight. And I think he would have a easier time with heavyweights based upon his ability to wrestle, because a lot of heavyweights can't wrestle that well. Yes, he could end up going against Ryan Bader again if Bader beats Congo and stuff. But
no, don't take this wrong. No one wants to see that fight again. Okay, nobody wants to see. No one wants to see that fight again.
which one are you talking about?
Both of them. They both weren't. They both weren't good.
Yeah.
They both weren't good. John.
Oh, exactly. I agree. They weren't. And they cancel each other out. But it's a matter of Phil doesn't want to ever lose position. He doesn't like to be underneath, and he doesn't like to get into the scramble where he has to get to the top. And I understand that. But like you were saying, he kept going after the straight arm lock and then the Kimura grip. He kind of looked towards it. But a submission like that does not happen when you're showing what you're going for, unless the guy that you're doing it against, you're stronger than, and he really doesn't understand how to stop it. Once he knows how to stop it, that's not a submission you're going to get. It's a pure strength thing, and the neck is available to fill it many times. And it's like, man, you use it in different positions. You're able to push his arm over with your body. Go for the arm triangle. Go for the north-south. There's all these different things you can do, but he's not, because he doesn't want to lose position. And I understand it. And that's the one thing about Phil Davis. When you look at it, I have nothing but praise for Phil. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. Mm-hmm. And his ability, and you take a look at, how many fights is Phil at now? I want to say what? He's got to be right at 30 fights or so. Somewhere in there.
Phil Davis. There we go.
Yeah, 30. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay. 30 fights. Josh, who have you seen hurt him?
I don't think he's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted.
No, he's never been stopped.
I don't know who. I'm trying to think
never
of
been
who hurt
stopped.
him.
Okay, but I mean, I can't.
Someone
go
sat
back.
him to his butt one time. I'm trying to remember.
He's had a couple
Nemkov?
times. Well, Nemkov threw him one time, and in a beautiful takedown stuff. I know he had the loss. The first loss that I remember him was against Rashad Evans, where it was surprising that Rashad kind of out wrestled him, put him on his butt, gave him problems, but he did it off of MMA at the time. Comparatively, Phil could not transition the same way, and Rashad was just a step ahead in the MMA game, but he hasn't taken any real damage in the sport. 30 fights. No one's ever put him to where I would say he was almost knocked out, anything like that. No concussions, nothing like that. No serious injuries as far as, you would look at and say, oh, you need to take time away because of that, fight and what happened. At 37 years of age, he's as good as ever. Yeah. It's just that he knows how good he is, and it's almost like, all right, I'm winning this fight. I can continue just doing this right here, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's because why am I going to put myself in a position to possibly get hurt? I can't blame him, but it is the problem with getting the finishes, because he needs to put himself a little bit more out there to try to get that finish. And if you're not going to, then you're going to end up with the decisions. Yeah,
I think in this situation, like with the Kimura, just because based off of my training sessions with him from before in the past and grappling with him before in the past, he's normally, with the way he controls the wrist for the Kimura, he's normally able to leverage them because he's got such long arms.
Yeah.
And he's got big hands. He's got huge hands.
Big hands.
The way he controls your wrist and your hand and your last two fingers, or the outside of your palm, the way he controls all that and turns it and then creates leverage, steps over the head, that's where normally he's able to get it. But Anglitskis was so strong, he just wasn't able to get it there, not even with the leverage that he had. So, but I had a good conversation with the airport this morning at like 4:30 in the morning, and a little tipsy. And I said,
"No, not at all."
I go, Phil. Look, you guys. When I talk to my friends, I talk to them the way that I tell you guys I talk to them. I'm very honest with them because no one needs to be lied to. Like, he is talented enough to be going out there and working harder for the finishes. Stop inking these things out, man. He doesn't need to. He has all the ability to finish these fights, whether it's guillotines, side choke specifically, those type of positions, and utilizing his wrestling. It wasn't to the Yoel Romero fight that we actually saw him use his wrestling in I don't know how many fights.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the Nemkov fight, he didn't use it until he got to the last round, and by then it was too late.
Yep.
So... All right, well, hey, let's get into the main event. The main event was Maz Burnell, just an absolute stud of a fighter, and then fighting Adam Borics. And Adam Borics he's tall, long, and lanky. He fights a very, very stand-up stylistic of fight, but the kid can wrestle. He can wrestle. He showed that in this in this fight, he hit a couple little switches when Mads had taken him down. He was able to switch his hips over, turn and stay on top. Towards the end of the bell, I think it was in round 3, I believe.
I don't think Mads ever got a takedown on him, man.
No, he didn't.
If there was a takedown, it was Borics doing it.
Yeah, Borics got the takedowns on him. I thought it was a good fight. Now look, I'm gonna do the same thing, just so everyone can see this or hear this, is that I look at Borics, and I gave a lot of criticism towards Colby Covington last week. I look at the same thing. When he did the interview with you, John, he's like, "Oh, I'm not even breathing hard." I was like, "Well, then you should have got him out of there. You should have tried a little bit." And I know Mads is not the guy to be chasing out, but neither is Masvidal. But if you've got that much energy left over, then you got to go out there and give me something to finish it. Give me something. Give me a barrage. Give me a flurry. Give me something, John.
Okay, I'll agree with you in that, but I'm going to say this. First off, it was a hell of a fight.
It was.
And it was, in my opinion, going back in history and stuff and looking, and part of it's based upon Mads Burnell and the way he uses a cross section on his arms, a la Joe Frazier used to do a running style with it. Norton would do the cross, bringing his arms up, and Burnell kind of
would Foreman.
What's that?
He got older. He would peekaboo. He would do the peekaboo. Foreman would do the peekaboo. That's a little bit of what he was doing too.
And he would incorporate. And it was kind of like watching a guy that kept coming forward. Joe Frazier being Mads Burnell against a guy in Adam Borics. He was like Ali. He was just picking him apart. Pop, 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 counter, boom, 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 boom. And combinations, and look at the body attacks that Burnell was putting on him. Look, he hit him to the body a ton.
Yeah.
And he hit him solid, Josh. Some of them
he didn't stop at the body
hard.
Though, John. He went body and came head. Every single time he went hook to the body,
left
hook to the head.
The body up to the head, and you go, it was beautiful. And Borics ate every one of them like it wasn't even there. Yeah, he did the Romero Cotton thing.
Yeah, he did the Romero Cotton. He's just feasting.
The one thing, when you look, there's only one way a guy takes those kind of shots and just keeps coming is he is in shape. And there's no doubt that Adam Borics was in shape. And I look and I say, that was a masterful performance by Adam Borics, because the pressure of Burnell was stifling. It was so heavy, so continuous, so relentless, and didn't bother him at all. Just every round did the same thing. That his footwork was beautiful. The way that he was circling out at times, the way he controlled the cage, as far as he would get into that section between, the black line and the cage. Very seldom did he ever get put into the cage. And it was because of his footwork and what he did. And I just loved his performance. I thought he just looked fantastic. And I love Mads Burnell's performance in that, man, just tough as hell, kept coming forward. By the end, his eye is closed. Mm-hmm. And he just keeps on coming forward like, man, none of these are bothering me. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. You can't ask anything more. I thought for the most part he was losing most of the rounds, but he was in it. And you could tell that, it's going to take just a little bit more. He just couldn't give anymore because Borics wouldn't allow it to happen. He just kept on hitting him with those shots. I loved the fight. I thought it was just a great back and forth in the fact that, yes, Borics was winning the rounds, but Burnell was always right there, and the body attacks and those left hooks, just phenomenal.
Yeah, let me go back and then kind of clarify what I was talking about, John.
Okay.
Like what I meant was, when Adam Borics saw how Mads was going to fight him, walk him down, wait for Adam to overextend, maybe try to get an easy takedown. He was just going to try to pressure him, make him tired, make him run, make him miss, all of those things. That's what Mads' game plan was. Yep. You could tell right in the first 30 seconds to the minute of the fight. He just walked forward. He just didn't matter. Didn't care. I'll take a shot. I'll slip it. I'll counter. He had good body shots. He was doing a great job. Mads had said that he was going to go ahead and try to attack the calf kick. Well, Adam beat him to it. Yeah. And I felt like that was the beginning of the turning of the tide. Right from the beginning, he was starting to control the fight with that calf kick, because Mads had to square his stance then, which made it harder and more difficult to get in deep on a takedown, because you've got to switch here. You got to go more with one leg forward to shoot the shot. He wasn't able to do that. And that's what kind of slowed down his takedown attempts, I think, in the first 2 rounds. And once he settled in to just taking the calf kick or moving it out of the way and then countering, which he started doing really well by the end of the second round, I had him winning, I think, the third round. I had Mads winning the third.
Yeah.
So he lost the first 2, and I think the second was close, but then the third he won. And then Borics started coming in.
Adam came out in the 4th and just took it over, and it was like,
yeah.
wow.
And what I want, like, you have to understand, what I saw out of Adam in that situation is once he realized that's the way Mads was going to fight him, that showed me his fight IQ. He showed that, like, okay, look, I'm not going to be suckered into this where I could potentially lose. I'm not going to go balls to the wall. I'm not going to do all those things. I do agree that when I started off this conversation, I said, I want to see you get him out of there if you had all this conditioning. But if you know there's 1 round, if there's 1 round left and you're having success doing what you're doing, you fight a conservative fight the rest of the time. But if you're not even breathing hard and you're touching them up and doing things, give me 1 blitz per round. Give me something in that 4th and that 5th round that gives you that really tries to show me you're trying to win this fight. He looked like, and I'm just being honest, and I love both of these guys. I think they're both extremely talented. But what I saw from Adam was a glorified sparring match. That's what I saw. It was touch. It was a little bit like the Nick and Nate Diaz fighting style.
Yeah.
Touch. When I hit you good enough, I try to go hard.
Yep.
You know, I saw it was very much like that. So if you look at the comparisons, that's kind of the way he fought. He had to fight that way, though.
He was, as you say, just touching, but then you'd see him rip. And
yes.
he would put some steam on one of them, and you go, you know, he's trying to hurt him with that. You know, and then he would go back to touch. And in my opinion, that was a brilliant way of fighting a guy like Burnell, who's just walking you down, relentless pressure. It's, well, keep putting shots on him, so he has to deal with all those shots. Even if they're not hurting him, he still has to deal with them. And then when you get the opportunity to light one off, light it off and let him realize, oh, you know, when I want to sting you hard, it's going to happen. And
yeah,
I was impressed. Borics had been the guy, you know, when we first watched him, he was so explosive, so dynamic, and so fearless in his attacks, you know, and it was confidence. He had this confidence, no one can hurt me. I can't be beat. And then he got beat, and we saw all of it go away.
Yeah.
We saw he started to, you know, he sucked it all in, and all of a sudden became a careful fighter, and you go, you're not the same.
Well, he said
man.
he was scared as fuck. He's like, I was scared as fuck after I lost. He'd never experienced a loss before in any of his boxing, kickboxing, MMA career. He'd never lost in all of his fights.
Yeah, and you could see it. And this was the fight that I look at. I know that, you know, he was happy, I'm sure, with the Jeremy Kennedy fight, and he looked good. But this fight was just light years ahead as far as his control, his accuracy, the distance, the way he was able to take a guy. You know, it is not easy when you got a guy that just relentlessly walks forward. You know, when I used to spar, I used to do that exact thing because it would just tear people apart because they couldn't handle that pressure.
Yeah.
It's not easy to deal with, and he dealt with it just beautifully.
John, when you did it, though, they were just afraid you were going to trip and fall and
That could be absolutely part of the truth.
That's
you know, it's like it's, you know, it's not easy to deal with. It's especially when you don't expect someone to you'll expect it to happen, you know, and then it stops. When it's relentless and you know you're putting shots on the guy and he still it's a mind fuck. You know, it's like you got to keep telling yourself, no problem. I'll just keep on popping you. And you've got to have that in your head. And, you know, that's what I saw out of Borics. He didn't change his style, didn't change his game plan, stuck to what he was doing, and it worked to perfection for him.
Yeah, just to clarify, I think both of them fought a fantastic fight.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see more after. You give a speech after. Oh, I feel like I could go another whatever it was. I'm not even tired. Well, then I wanted to see a little bit more.
Then you should have gone a little bit.
Don't tell me. Yeah, don't tell me that, please. All right, let's get into the UFC talk.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Got to put it up
top,
there,
or you want to
Dave.
start the prelims?
Huh?
Want to start at the top or the prelims?
You know, let's go to the prelims there with a couple of them.
Let's go to the prelims.
Yeah, there was a couple down there that we should talk about.
Oh yeah.
Are you seeing it, John?
All right, where do you want to start?
Yeah.
I want to go Miranda Maverick. Nice comeback. Nice win.
Well, then before
Go
you get
ahead.
started, I want to go one low below that.
Okay, you want to go Cody?
Brundage.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got to give the guy a mention, man. He took a beating. Okay, he took a beating, and he hung in there.
Tough.
He capitalized on the opportunity. I mean, this is what we've talked about when guys. When guys just like, oh, I'm losing. We've seen it I don't know how many times, even at the highest level, they just turn over and go fetal position and just wait for the ref to stop it. Yeah. That never crossed his mind. It didn't look like it crossed his mind. He was just trying to gather space. He did turn away, but he was trying to get space, trying to create space so he could get back into the fight. I thought he did a great job. Those fights are hard to deal with, but this is one of those fights that you understand. Okay, I'm a fighter. You know, there's no quitting me. I'm still here. You know, I can take some shots. And I thought you got to give him a little bit of a mention, man, for sure. Good stuff.
No,
nice
true.
One, Cody.
Good call because he hung in tough because things were not going his way. But when you find that win, in that situation, that's the ones that mean something. So you're right. I thought Miranda Maverick, look, coming off of her last fight, really looked good. Sabina is good in the stand up, and but immediately, basically, put her in bad positions, ended up with that, rear naked choke submission. Very well done. Kind of just implemented her game plan and made it to where Mazo was never really that comfortable in the fight. And coming off of the fight that she had in her last one that, things didn't go her way, that's the way to come back. That's the way to learn from a loss. That's the way to come back and show, you know what, I'm just going to be a better fighter. Because her one against Erin Blanchfield, just things did not go her way. And this one completely turned it around.
You have those nights, though, John. You have those nights. Sometimes you show up, it's not your night. Sometimes you show up and, like, you think you're ready to go, and it's just like everything you do is one step behind. Someone just takes you apart. But I thought she looked good. I thought she looked really good. Against Mazo was just – she was using her reach and her range. But in that first round, Maverick was able to just touch her, got the takedowns, like dominated a bunch of the positions. I thought she looked phenomenal. She was out scrambling her, especially in that last transition where she got to the back. Once Mazo pulled her left arm from blocking her from going to her back, she pulled it out and tried to defend the choke. There was no choke there. If the arm is there, she's not choking me from in front of me. So I don't know why you pulled it out. All you have to do is just keep rotating and turn and face her. Just not enough experience. I was watching. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't pull your arm out. And she pulled her arm out. I'm like, done. So when you got someone that shorter and stocky with those strong legs, and she got wrapped around her, I was like, it's done. It was over. Nice work though by Miranda Maverick, of course. Damon Jackson.
Shout out to him. I told you the dude's just a tough dude.
Is he the Leech? Is they call him the Leech?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
I think his nickname is the Leech, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. Can you click on Damon Jackson, Dave? Try and stay awake, please.
It's the Leech. I'm telling you.
It is the Leech.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a tough son. He's a tough out. And he hangs in the fight and he will get the submission. He's just a tough dude. I'm being honest. Do I think he's ever going to challenge for the title? I don't think so. He's just not that guy. But, man, he can give people problems, and he can fight for a long time just being the guy that upsets people because everyone thinks that he's going to be an easy fight. That dude's never an easy fight. He's a tough dude.
No, you can tell he's not. The pressure, he knew exactly how to fight his opponent, just walk him down. Kurt just was like, oh, you're just putting pressure on me. Yep. And as he started slowing down, Damon just started capitalizing on a lot of those exchanges on the feet as well as the grappling exchanges. All of those things led to that. But Damon, I'm going to be honest with you.
He's tall for a featherweight.
He is. He looks like he is. Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with Damon. Damon, like I just told my boy, one of my closest friends, DC, bro, the battle's over. Just shave your head. Okay? The battle's over.
You lost that war, buddy. Man.
Yeah, it's done, man.
Just give it up.
Yep. Don't call it hair loss. Don't call it hair loss. It's all just facial gain. Okay? Just shave it. Call it good, bro. Call it good. So, but a great performance, great fight. The pressure. I thought there was a lot of these were good fights on the prelims. They did some good work. And he fought a great fight. Good stuff. The other guy, Basharat. He's a stud, man.
He is a stud.
I thought Trevin Jones was going to piece him up. I thought he was going to be able to keep the speed and the distance and just, keep his back off the fence and take the center of the cage. He was the one moving and circling and moving and circling, and Boshrot was just touching him and touching him and touching him. Wasn't trying to throw anything super hard, but he was hitting him with some good shots, and I was like, oh, shit. This is a really good fight. And Jones had some good exchanges in there when he threw. He was more countering and waiting, or waiting, I should say, waiting and countering. Yeah. But then sometimes there was no counter. It was like just block and check, and then not return. You've got to return every single time to earn that respect. I mean, you saw Boshrot just going, come on, just walking him down, showing him no respect until the last round. He got rocked in the last round a little bit, and he kind of gave him a little bit of respect for the rest of the fight, but by then it was too little, too late.
Too late, yeah. JJ Aldridge, going into this, it was my question. Look, JJ came in, and she was always very good in the stand-up, would get taken down, and the ground was not her friend. And going against Jillian Robertson, I was like, we're going to see where she's at, because JJ has had a couple of really good fights in her last go. She's been looking good. She's been looking very in control of her fights. She had that the fight with the girl who's the one that did the fucking thing with Joe Rogan. She's the pole dancer. I can't think of her name. It's great.
Oh, that jumped into his lap?
Yeah, Demopoulos or whatever it was and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, she had a really dominant win against her. And then this fight right here, man, even when it hit the ground, and sometimes it was JJ taking it to the ground, never really put into much danger, was in control of the fight, looked good on the feet. She's really coming into her own. She's becoming a much more well-rounded fighter where she can fight anywhere that the fight goes, and it's not a panic situation of, I got to get out of here. Just she's building as a fighter, and you can definitely see the progression of her learning and how as her career is going on. So that was a nice win, because Robertson she's a stud on the ground, and she creates a lot of problems for people. She was not able to create those for JJ. So that just shows where JJ is going and how she's progressing as a fighter. I give her credit.
I'm going to skip over number 8. I'm going to go to the number 9. Alex Pereira versus Bruno Silva.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good fight.
It was a good fight. It's Silva at times. I'm like, he's a
shit.
Tough son of a bitch, man. He look, he lost the fight. He was good.
Yeah, he did.
He lost the fight.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He stood with Pereira and threw. He wasn't giving anything. Pereira was throwing knees at times and things. I go, oh, that one fucking hurt. Didn't back off, just kept coming. I'm like, Bruno Silva was in there to win. He didn't give a shit about fucking reputation or anything as far as the kickboxing. Oh, you want to kickbox? We'll kickbox. And he was kickboxing with him.
When you're fighting somebody with all that hype, you got to go out there and show him when you don't care who he is. The one thing, though, is that, look, Izzy's been in the game, in the MMA game for a while now, so he's even able to feel more comfortable in understanding how people enter in on the takedowns. Pereira has not been that guy.
That's right.
And so you can tell that there's a sense of nervousness of being taken down, and when he
worried about being taken down,
he's not conserving his energy on how to get up either, and he doesn't feel relaxed in those positions, because when he got back to his feet, he wasn't the same fighter for a couple 30 seconds, 45 seconds. He needed to circle, stay away. You could tell his arms were a little heavy. You could tell his body was a little heavy. He's gonna have to make some adjustments. Do I think he's gonna beat Izzy a favorite fight now? No.
No.
Do I think that he has a chance to keep? Yeah, if he has a chance to keep building on what he's doing right now. But now you guys got to remember, they're gonna have to cherry pick some of his opponents right now, which is kind of what they're doing. They're trying to find guys to fight him that are good on the feet.
Yep.
But will take shots.
Yep.
And don't have tendencies to get takedowns.
Don't have don't go after the takedown with the same fervor as certain guys.
Certain wrestlers. Yeah. But I mean, look, I thought this fight was awesome. Yeah. When I was watching, I was like, to see some of the transitions that Pereira made in that fight, Silva taking the shot and then delivering him back.
Yep.
And those last couple exchanges in the third round, I was like, oh shit. Silva's getting after it. Just didn't even care, through caution to the winds. Like, hey, I'm not gonna do my interview afterwards saying I have energy. That's what he said. He's like, not gonna say I could do 5 more rounds. Oh, I'm not even tired. No. He's like, I'm gonna be dog dead tired when I get done. Look, overall, this was a really good fight. I saw a lot out of Pereira that I wanted to see, and there's a lot of questions that I still need answered. But I like the progression that I'm seeing from him, John, a lot.
Yeah, and this is the kind of fight in MMA he needed. He needed a guy that would stand and bang with him, a guy that was not backing down from him, a guy that was putting him at times in positions where he had to work hard to get himself back to a neutral position or any of those things. So I thought, good win. Big win for him. This one will help him.
Dave, can you pull up the rankings, please, for 185 for the UFC? Let me see.
There you go.
Who's in that lower level that we could probably try to get him in that top 15? There we go. Let me see.
Oh, come on. If you're going to be honest, man, I'm not even going lower level.
Shabazian
would work to take him down.
Yeah, probably. Maybe Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares can wrestle too.
Brad Tavares can wrestle, and I think he would try. But Tavares would be a very good gauge because you watched Brad Tavares fight Izzy when Izzy was really getting close to being at that point. So you're going to kind of see, where Alex is at within it. So I would actually say that Brad Tavares would be a good one. I'd like to see Sean Strickland and Alex.
No, I would like to see that. My only concern is that once you get him up to number 4, wait, are there
there's
three
nowhere else
fucking
to go.
people tied? There's 3 people tied for number 4. Shut the front door. The UFC middleweight rankings.
Your whore mouth.
There's 4. There's 3 people tied for number 4. 3. Oh my gosh. The lightweight division has 2 number 9s with Connor and Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah,
and then Bellator had 2 number 2s until they fought this weekend, Burnell and Adam Borics. You guys, get the rankings right, man. Do a tiebreaker. Okay, have somebody that says, hey, who has the most finishes? Okay, that person now is the number 4 person.
There you
whatever.
go.
Unbelievable.
Josh, it's based on recent events. You can't base it on like how many wins you had in your entire career.
No, it's not wins. It's finishes. So
Finishes.
whoever has the most finishes.
Finishes in your career those are old.
They're not old. They're functional. They're saying what you do in the fight.
Finishes.
So if you have more finishes than I do, and people are saying that we're pretty equal, you get the ranking above me.
Yeah.
Agree
Or
or
just say,
disagree?
okay, then hey, Dave, how about you just say in your last 5 fights then? Does that make you feel better?
You're only as good as your last performance.
Dave.
Well, let's
whoever
just
whoever had a finish in their last performance.
Hey, Josh, let's just talk
all
about
these
it.
guys?
Dave's last performance was not good.
No, we understand that. I read the comments and I know that already.
Oh Lord.
I just can't. I've never thought I'd see 3. I thought see 2 guys
That's awesome.
tied.
Yeah.
Now we have 3 number 4s.
We were complaining about the 2 number 2s.
And the 2 number 9s, and I was like, the Bellator rankings had 2 number 2s. We're like complaining about it, and then we look on and we see in the lightweight division, the UFC is Connor and Gregor, and we're like 2 number 9s. Oh my gosh! And now, not to be outdone, 3 number 4. 3 number 4s. Unbelievable. Look, I would say maybe Uriah Hall, but then once you get him to Uriah Hall, there's people that are below him that would beat him. You know what I mean? I mean, like Imavov would probably beat him. Weidman, I think for sure would beat him.
Well, see why
once Weidman comes back. Weidman gets a warm-up fight, comes back, but I think Weidman would beat him with his wrestling and his submissions. I don't think he'd get up. I know Weidman's not going to, but I mean, who did we talk to? We talked to the other day, said they were training with Weidman.
John Salter.
John Salter. He's like, the guy's acting like
no problem with that leg.
Already.
He kicked me enough with it.
Yeah, he's like, he's sparring already. I'm like, jeez, man, crazy. All right, well, like I said, I would like to see him fight Uriah Hall, but I think once he gets there, there's not anywhere to go. He's gonna have to fight the best guys, and I don't want to see him do that just yet. I want to see 2 more fights like the one he had.
We talked about this next fight though, and we said this one's gonna say something because of who the opponent is, and the hype train going with Terrence. He's had some really fast, quick wins. How is he gonna do against Drew Dober? What were your thoughts? Talk about fight IQ.
Yes, fight IQ was very, very poor. Very poor. But, John, you can't take away from the kid's ability. The kid is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Speed with the hands, straight punches. Like, he mixed up the kicks, head kicks. He was throwing it all. The problem was he was throwing it all. And that's really what it came down to.
He just...
Like I said, when I was talking about Gugu over in the Bellator commentary situation, you got to stay composed. You got to keep that distance. You see it sometimes also in boxing.
Oh, yeah.
They rock the person and they smother their shots.
Crush
and
that
it's like caveman
distance.
style. Yeah, and then they crush it so much that nothing clean lands. And if it does, it's like, it's kind of like
no power
nothing
on
really on it. Yeah, and that's kind of what we saw. he looked very impressive. The knees up the middle was brilliant. Great idea. He landed it twice, sat Dober back. Dober is just a stud, an absolute stud. And he just weathered the storm. Sat, was able to sit back into the guard position. I mean, he had a couple little scrambles, but he was able to sit back. And I loved Paul Felder's commentary. And it was like, hey, I think this is probably best for him just to sit back, get his breath, just say, hey, I lost this round. Let's start off in the next round. But then he saw that McKinney was getting tired. He saw that McKinney, like he even said in his post-fight interview, he's like, I saw that he didn't know how to conserve his energy. I saw that he didn't know, like, he's like, it was all or nothing for him. Yep. There was no like, okay, let's
see what happens in round two. Pedal to the metal or coast.
That's a young fighter. Yeah. That's an extremely young fighter. But then again, John, I look at it this way. Plan B is for losers. That's really what it comes down to. You don't need to, like, there is no, if you have a plan B, it means you're prepared to lose. There is no plan B. He went out there trying to win. I got to tip my hat to the young stud. He's a stud. I think McKinney's he's got a bright future.
He does.
He just got to tweak it a little bit here and there. He's got power.
He's got to learn to relax.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Just, son, relax. You're hurting him. You don't have to. Sometimes you want to get rid of it right away, but you don't have to. And just to know, I'm eventually going to get there. That's all you got to think about. Eventually, you're going to get there. Don't jump all over it. Don't frickin' put the your foot through the floor and trying to put that gas pedal just a little bit more. No point. Just keep touching him. You'll get there. And at times he was touching. In the beginning, he was touching Dober. He was touching him. Yeah. Cleanly, and that speed was giving Dober some problems.
So was the power, John.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, but Dober, look at Dober's a dog, man. He just hung tough, bit down at times, took some big shots, and then started delivering some of his own, and things started to change.
Yeah, where you guys can take a look, and if you guys want to try to learn like about fight IQ, okay, and you guys go back and analyze this fight if you guys want, okay, is he rocked him with the knee up the middle, flurried him, did a good job there. Dober scrambled, kind of got back up, rocked him back again with the knee up the middle again. Dober kind of scrambled for the legs. He made space. But in the exchange against the fence where Dober started to get back up, he pushed him away and then threw the head kick. He was already tired. In those scenarios, just for fight IQ, don't go throwing head kicks and spinning back kicks and those type of things. They don't work.
Stay against the cage in the clinch and grab some air.
Yes.
And when you get that air and you start to lower that heart rate just a little bit, now go back.
Yeah.
And that's called
either that or make the space, because he's still rocked. Dober was still rocked. Make the space and just do the Nate Diaz and the Nick Diaz thing. Touch him, touch him, touch him. Make him flinch. Make him react. Make him more tired as well as being rocked. And then when you see the opening, capitalize. And he threw caution in the wind. He made the space and he was throwing head kicks. And I think at the end of the round one, he threw a spinning back kick and it missed. It was like way far away. I'm like, that might have been Caceres though. I'm trying to remember, but I think
Caceres.
it was McKinney.
That one, Dober and McKinney ended in round one.
Oh, it did. You're right. So, I was sorry. I was thinking that he threw a spinning back kick though out of one of those exchanges. So it was Caceres, but he did throw a head kick though off the fence exchange. And I'm like, he like pushed away and threw the head kick. I'm like, what are you doing? So it was a little bit of the fight IQ right there. Is really what cost him. He just got to make a couple little changes. That's it. Like if you're gonna do any takeaway from this fight is you're a stud. Okay, you've proven that you got power. You're proven that you're fast. You're proven that you can throw straight. You're proven you can hang with the best fighters, like the top level fighters. Drew Dober's a top level fighter. It's just a matter of you got to tweak this here and there, and you'll be right back. You'll be back.
Yep.
Khalil Roundtree.
Good.
Go ahead, John.
This
is your guy.
Come on, man. Comes out. All right. It's the adjustment off of the first round. Comes into the second round, and just wham, big old freaking body kick. Boom. You look and you go, when he throws though, dude, he does throw with some velocity, and he's got power in his hands. He got power in his kicks, and you get hit to the body like that with a kick. Ow. Nice job, Khalil. I love you, man. You're a winner.
Yeah, I mean, he hit that big shot, boom, with the right. It was the right hook, I believe.
Yeah,
sat
right
him down
hook.
to his butt. And then when he went down, he kicked him with the body, and it seemed to squeezed through the elbows and the hip bone, and it was loud. And I was like, "Oh shit!"
He
And
did that.
floated
If
for
you
a
recall,
second.
he did that same thing. Remember in the Ultimate Fighter when they were fighting to get in the house? I can't remember who he was fighting. It was a big, strong dude, and he kicked him. And people go, "That's a soccer kick. You can't do it." I go, "It's to the body. What are you talking about? You can do that." He fucking blasted that dude to the body. You watch him go, "Oh!" all over. It was like,
John,
yeah, that hurt.
I just forgot that Dober and McKinney ended in round 1. You're asking me about a fight that happened 2 years ago. No, that's not going to happen, buddy.
Good point. Good point.
Just, come on, you got to work with me here, buddy. Quit trying to make me look bad, all right?
I'm not trying to make you look bad.
I was impressed by Roundtree. I really was. Which really baffled me though is that Roberson was the favorite.
Yeah.
And the betting odds going into that fight, he was the favorite. I want to say it wasn't by much, but it was like,
How many times has Khalil been the underdog?
Plus 210 or
Almost
something.
every time he fights, he's the underdog.
Jeez. Oh. Yeah, I saw that on the betting lines. I was like, man, I should probably, because the way you talk, how highly you talked to him, I was like, I probably should have taken that bet.
I would have taken that one.
All right, let's get into
Caceres
Youssef versus Caceres.
Sadiq Youssef. That was, I was very impressed with Youssef because when you got a guy, what's that?
Yes, it absolutely. Yes.
Man, you got a guy like Caceres is not an easy fight. He moves so much, the angles he creates, and this was the difference of just power. At times when Youssef hit Caceres, there was noticeable power on the shots. It put Caceres back, took him off balance at times, and Caceres was trying to land with volume at times, and then all of a sudden, Sadiq would, boom, he'd hit that shot, and it would rock Caceres, and Caceres would take some steps back like, oh, shit, I can't have that happen again. And he would try to get back into it, and it was just, this is when we talk about, that what's better, volume or power? Well, it all depends. How much power, how much volume, but when you've got power that is equating like what Youssef was doing in this fight, that power was dictating the fight. It dictated the fight throughout, and that's why he won a unanimous decision. He deserved it. Not that Caceres didn't put up a good fight. He put up a good fight. He just couldn't deal when those shots landed. There was just power behind him, and they affected him in a way that he was unable to be the guy in control of that fight.
Look, I think that was probably one of the best Caceres I've ever seen. Now, I've seen him fight some good fights.
Yep.
But he looks like he's maturing as a fighter.
Oh, he's good.
He was doing some really good stuff in that fight, but like you said, the power was making a difference, as well as those inside leg kicks.
Yes.
Those inside leg kicks had changed the dynamic of the fight, because I had Caceres winning the first round, then I had him losing the next two.
Yeah, he lost.
But it was the inside leg kick. Every time Youssef would land the inside kick, he'd fall down. Like, it would just break his balance. Some of it wasn't because it hurt him. Some of it was just because he caught him while he stepped in.
Took his balance away from him.
Yeah. And so when he was getting after him and he was landing the harder shots, you see Caceres land a beautiful straight left or like a loopy left hook or a loopy right hook. He'd land it clean, and Youssef just walked right through it. But then when Youssef landed on him, it would like set him backwards,
back him up.
make him backpedal, make him do this, make him do that.
Yep.
The other thing is that I think Caceres now is going to have to go back to the drawing board, because the layout now has been there. It has now been proven. Like, all you got to do is kick the inside of your leg. You're not going to switch your stance to start fighting the other way now. You're not going to start leaning in and checking those. You're not going to do those things. You're not. And so he didn't make the needed adjustments as the fight was going on. But man, he's still, even in the second round, he still looked good. In the third round, I thought he still looked good.
He did.
He looked. I was very impressed with him. I think it's a little bit of a setback. I know he's still young, but he's a good fighter, man. Youssef just. The speed, a little bit of Youssef was there. The power definitely had
a huge effect in that fight.
Yeah, but overall, it was a real fun fight to watch.
Yeah, no, I thought it was I thought Caceres fought the fight the only way he really could to get a win. It just wasn't enough based upon he wasn't able to avoid the power of Youssef, and he wasn't able to land enough shots that made Youssef go, I need to be more careful.
I wanted to see a little bit more wrestling out of Caceres, but he was having a hard time because of the speed and the power. He didn't want to lunge in. He didn't want to there was some things you could tell. Like, there was one shot he had taken. He got in on the body lock, and he was like on his knee, and Youssef just like kind of hipped into him a little bit, and he almost got thrown backwards right in the mount. And he was able to drive himself back up, but it was
got that Nigerian nightmare fucking strength, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Those Nigerians, man, look at them. There's a lot of them. They're champs right now. They're all champs right now.
All right, Yadong Song against Marlon Moraes. It's over. It's over.
Yeah,
he took the gloves off, baby.
Yeah, John, I think a little bit of a couple things. You know, he was with Mark Henry for the longest time.
Yes.
And when he went to ATT, not that they're obviously we know they're a phenomenal gym. Mm-hmm. I feel like his head movement started to disappear. You know, because his head was in line this whole time to be hit. It never got offline. You know, and Yadong Song was able to close his eyes and throw his shots, and it seemed like they landed. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Marlon. Marlon Moraes had a great career. He's a phenomenal fighter. What you have to remember is that, and I tell this to, and this went through my mind as well, you guys, and not just me, but I know a ton of other fighters. You're not used to losing. And then when you lost one, you're like, whatever, you get back, you get your next win. No big deal. But when you lose 2 in a row, you're like, shit, I have to get the third. Then you lose 3. And you're just trying to figure out like what's going on.
You're grabbing
like
for
you don't
straws.
even exactly. And when you're out there, you're a shadow of what you were when you hadn't lost.
Confidence is gone.
And so I saw that he was letting Yadong Song push him around in that. And I know the speed and the power of Yadong Song is phenomenal.
Yeah,
he was getting there quick. The combinations were there. He's short, stocky, but he's explosive. Marlon Moraes, like when you're fighting somebody like that, you got to let that heavy ass kick that you have, you got to let it go a lot to make him respect you. And get busy with the calf kicks these days. Why are you not throwing that? You have some of the hardest kicks in the game. That should have been your go-to. That's like that is your move to just destroy people's careers. Like that's the one thing. Like the way the power in his kicks, John, he should be exploiting all of the people that he fights. Kick, boom. If you get taken down and he gets put on bottom, okay, cool. He can work his way back up. So if you throw it and you throw it and you throw it, by the time you throw 4 or 5 of those, they're not the same fighter anymore. Yeah. And if you get taken down off of it, oh well, get back up and I'm going to go back. Remember, every round starts with you on your feet. You know, and you have an opportunity to land another 1 or 2 of those things. I don't know. I would like to see him continue fighting because I know he still has it. It's just mentally he's got to get a couple wins somewhere, and probably for the amount of money they're paying him, they're not giving him easy fights.
Well, take a look. Is he 1-5 or 1-5 in his last?
Click on him. He's lost 4 in a row.
Fights.
I think now.
4 fights in a row he's lost. I know he beat Aldo, but he lost the fight before that to Santos.
And that was a close fight though
Cejudo.
too. Him and Aldo.
Yeah, very close.
You know, but if you look at this, John, if you look at it though, Henry Cejudo, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font.
Every one of them. Studs.
All studs.
All studs. But
and
again,
the UFC,
just what you said. He's making a lot of money, and they're not going to just give him a nobody for him to get the win. They don't care. It's like, hey,
they don't. Not at his age.
We pay you a lot. You know, you're supposed to perform. You're going to have to perform against another really good fighter. You know, here's your opportunity.
Dave, pull up the rankings. Let's see if we can give him somebody. I mean, I saw him take his gloves off. I saw him take his gloves off.
He did.
I mean, but he's got to just go home and think it over. I think he's got to go home and think it over. Why not him and Dominic Cruz? Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
Take the Dom Cruz thing.
If you're looking, you know, Dom doesn't have a ton of power, so he's a volume guy. It's not bad. Yeah, another guy you could put in there. You know, you could put Ricky Simon.
Ooh,
you know, that would be a good matchup.
Pedro Munoz.
Pedro's got power.
Yeah, he does have power, but he's slowing down though too, John.
Yeah, a little bit. But
can you give him anyone lower than? Can you give him anyone above Song Yadong?
Shut up.
Yeah, you can because
you can't give him
Song Yadong's moving up.
No, but what you do, Dave, though, is you give him people that stylistically match up well with him. You know, that it will make for a good fight. And so, like when I was thinking Pedro Munoz because they're both shorter, stockier guys. The power in the leg kicks is there, but the boxing is for Pedro.
And they're both fighting out of ATT now.
Oh, that's right.
Come on, you always do that.
Whatever.
Yeah, screw it. Don't matter.
Let's just ruin some friendships. While we're
That's
at it.
right. That's right.
All
right,
let's get into that main one.
Ankalaev versus Thiago Santos. What did you think?
Okay, so I sat on this show on Tuesday, and I said, Ankalaev, if he makes it, and I got butchered in the comments, by the way, you guys. Okay, so I got butchered. Just butchered. I said, Ankalaev needs to wrestle early, utilize his wrestling, because Santos is not the same fighter. Once you start wrestling with him, take some steam off of that punch, take the power and the explosiveness off of everything he does. Wrestle him a little bit. You know, even if it's just clinch against the fence. Thank God, if you guys listen to the commentary, which I rarely do, but I like listening to Paul Felder. Paul said exactly the same thing. I'm surprised that he's not wrestling more to at least take the steam and the power off of Santos' combinations and his power. And especially when he started saying it in the third and the fourth round, he's like, I'm really surprised because why would you take the harder route in doing that? And that's exactly what I said. I said, why take the harder route? Take the easier route. Wrestle early, slow him down, and then piece him up on the feet.
So they're slow.
And piece him up on the feet because you could tell that Ankalaev was having a hard time dealing with the power. He got hurt. He got hit. He got hurt. He got clipped. But it wasn't even like, I know it was a hard shot because that's all he throws, his Santos throws. But it wasn't like it landed clean, perfectly. It grazed off the top of the head. And I know those shots, like they don't look like they're that hard, but they rattle the brain. And that's exactly what happened. He recovered real fast. He's an absolute stud. But that fight could have been handled so much differently and easier. And it just, they didn't do it. I didn't understand that. I'm like, wrestle early, then start piecing him up on the feet, or wrestle, in the first minute and a half of every round, slow him down a little bit, make him think about the takedown, and then let your hands and your kicks go. I think he could have got him out. I think he could have got Santos out of there probably by the third and fourth round had he fought that way. I think Paul Felder was saying the same exact thing.
I look at that fight and I agree with you. It could have been a much easier fight for Ankalaev if he had created more situations where he made Santos. Santos is a sprinter. Okay, he'll sprint, he'll go after you, and then he slows down, holds back. He'll make it. He'll give you like feints, like I'm gonna throw, but he's trying to catch his breath, and he knows that hey, I can go these 100-yard bursts, but I can't run that marathon, so I don't want to get into the marathon. And if I'm going to have to go the marathon, I need my positions to take my breaks. And he was finding them at times. But, as the fight goes on, his sprints become less and less. Yeah. And there's less and less on him. And that's really how this fight kind of went, is Ankalaev, he stayed solid. He did stay solid throughout the fight for the most part with his striking. And, he had clean strikes at times. He hurt Santos the one time, Santos ate it well, comes back, but I was really surprised that he did not grind him more at times to make him have to work at a pace that wasn't comfortable for him, because you can see all the fights that Santos has problems in are fights where guys are grinding him. They're creating situations where he has to work hard. He gets into a grappling exchange. There's, a lot of energy output. And the fights that he does well are the fights where he's able to control that pace. And once he's able to control the pace, hey, he does very well. He'll step on the gas, he'll back off. He'll step on the gas, he'll back off. And so I was really kind of surprised that Ankalaev took the route that he did. I agree with you that, to me, it was the harder route. He could have made this fight an easier fight for him, or a less dangerous fight for him. Mm-hmm. In the fact that he could have taken some of that energy, which would have slowed Santos down quicker in a lot of ways. But look, it was a close fight. It was a good fight for both. Both had their moments. I thought Ankalaev won, but it was wasn't super exciting.
I don't think that was ever any doubt.
There's people who go, "Whoa, Santos hurt him," and yeah, he did.
One round.
Yeah, okay, that's the whole point.
It wasn't a 10-8 round either, by the way. But when I looked at the wrestling of Ankalaev and Santos, when he did start utilizing it, it seemed like it was effortless for him to get it. Yeah. He got in on just beautiful takedowns. I'm like, if you had done that in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, like just start off.
You waited so long.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, but either way, I thought it was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but it was a good fight. But then the rest of the card was good. The UFC had a good card.
Yeah,
you know, the Bellator card, the prelims I liked. I thought they were good. The main card, they all need to. I agree. They all need to step up their game.
No, not the main event.
They were
not
tough.
the main event. The main event was awesome.
No, the main event did a great job. They did a great job.
Okay, all right, then I'll go with you.
Just Adam, don't say that I can go more.
That bothered you.
No, it did. It does. John, when they say leave it all out there, they mean leave it all out there.
I hate when guys get into a fight and go the distance, and at the end they're doing backflips and stuff. Well, you had that energy. Why didn't you do more in the fight, man? You know, you're taking a chance, but it is what it is.
I understand. Overall, though, good card. UFC had a good card.
Good fights overall throughout the whole weekend.
I think the whole weekend was great. You know, especially like when you look back from the beginning of this whole show that we started with Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee. I mean, people didn't expect it to go that way. I mean,
Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee. What are you?
Sorry, not Tony
about?
Ferguson. Sorry, Kevin Lee.
I mean, they did
Kevin
fight,
Lee and,
but it was a long time ago.
Diego Sanchez. Like I said, I can't remember what we were talking about earlier an hour and a half ago. Podcast Dave, I know you've got one piece of news for us.
You got a Tony Ferguson piece of news. Let's hear it.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about.
Exactly.
Yes.
I knew that's where you were going.
Yes.
We have a
Good
confirmed fight for May 7th, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler.
About time.
UFC announced it. And let's get some early thoughts and predictions here.
It's about time.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your prediction. I'll give you mine. Or you want mine first?
You already know where I'm going with this. No, you know, Tony's gonna have his hands full that first round. Is this a main event?
Yes.
It's a pay-per-view, guys. It's probably
so it's not a main event.
Oh, so it's not. It's 3 rounds?
No, it's not a main
event. That does not work towards Tony Ferguson.
That does not work Tony Ferguson. Yeah, if it was a 5-round fight, then I would give it to Tony. Tony's pressure, his push kick up the middle, his long jabs, his combinations. You know, Chandler could get on the neck and potentially sub him, but look, we've seen with Tony, he ain't tapping for shit.
No,
he don't care. He'll go to sleep or he'll let the arm break. You know,
but then again, Chandler ain't getting submitted either.
That's true as well.
Let's just
That's
be
true
honest.
as well. But I believe the pressure that Tony brings with the push kick up the middle. That's the one thing that Chandler will sometimes have hard times with. That push kick and those body kicks. He had a hard time with Benson with the body kicks. And he does, because he kind of squares up a little bit. He stands sideways like that karate style. But when he gets ready to strike, he hunkers down and he throws the right hand and he levels up. He basically squares up. And Tony's got a nasty push kick.
Sure does.
You know, and he does it from a distance. And the length and the reach of Tony, whether it's his legs or his jab or his combinations, it's going to be hard for Chandler to get in on. Chandler's good at jumping in, but he's also, like I said, he's got one of the worst fight IQs in the game. But he's explosive. He's talented. He's a really good fighter. He's a damn good fighter. But when it comes down to the style of fight that Tony brings, Tony has a good chance of beating him. If this was a 5-round fight, 3 rounds, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for anybody to really beat Michael Chandler in a 3-round fight because he's a hero for 2 rounds. He's got a lot of fight in him for 2 rounds.
A lot of energy,
you know,
a lot of speed.
Yep, he's got a lot of. We saw that with the Gaethje fight. I mean, they fucking took some shots. You know, and he was still fighting his ass off in the 3rd round. In a 3-round fight, he's a stud.
Freaking crazy.
You get him in that 4th and 5th round, those championship rounds, he starts to slow down a lot, like significantly. So, and that's where Tony shines. That's where Tony does his best work, is in those 4th and 5th rounds. So, but I mean, I think the fans are going to get what they deserve finally, and this fight's going to be a great fight.
I look at it, at this point, Tony has slowed down. You got to be honest with it, and the speed is a factor in this fight. Tony's submission abilities are good, but Chandler's gone with guys that are better and have tried to lock him up, and he fights his way through all of them. He's not going to tap either on any submission. No. He will not give in. So I don't see the submission being a problem. The 3 rounds is a problem in the fact that Tony does have a pace, but Tony doesn't have the power to really hurt Michael that much, where Michael does have the power. He can put Tony back. And for 2 rounds, I think he's going to really have a hard time stopping what Chandler does.
Yeah, for 2 rounds.
And the 3rd round, I think he can win it. he could possibly end it, but he's gonna have to get it done in that third round. It's gonna be hard for him to do.
I see. I'm going to disagree a little bit with the fact that he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power to hurt him, because we've seen Chandler, as he starts to slow down, his chin starts to get a little chinny.
Third round.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how much energy he comes out and fights and hits. In the first round, if Tony makes him a dog fight, which he will in that first round, and Chandler makes it a dog fight like he did against Gaethje in that first round, and with Oliveira as well,
he's going to.
Yeah,
let's
and
be
we're
honest.
gonna see. Yeah, because
he's going to.
Yeah.
He's going to go in there, and Tony's going to go towards the center, and Tony's going to start to come, and Mike's going to start trying to throw bombs, and he's going to feel Tony's shot, and he's going to go, okay, I'm going to bite down and just continue to walk forward like he did with Gaethje. And look, let's be honest. If you're taking a look at Tony or Gaethje, which one's got more power? Gaethje's got more power. Gaethje kicks harder. He doesn't have the kick up the middle, the same as what you're talking about, but his leg kicks are definitely better than Tony's, and that has some effect on someone like Chandler, who's got that wide base. Tony doesn't really attack the leg in that fashion the same way. Yeah. He'll chop at it a couple times, but not in that relentless fashion. And Tony's power, as far as the single shot, is not what Justin's is. So Michael's he's gonna feel it, and he's gonna say, okay, I'm gonna try to walk through you and knock you down. That's what he does.
Yeah, but this is my other question for you, John. He took a ton of damage in that fight.
Yeah, he did.
Is he the same guy?
I can't tell you
Those
that
are the
he
type
is.
of fights. Those are the type of fights that change people's
They
career.
change you, man. You're leaving big old parts of you in there, and we're gonna see. And it is, look at both of these guys. Let's just be honest. Both of them have been phenomenal fighters. You can take nothing away from them. I've been much closer to Tony, throughout his career and stuff like that, but both of them have in their last couple of fights. And look at Gaethje being one of the guys. Gaethje put it on Tony. Tony was on a 12-fight win streak when he lost to Gaethje. That fight took a lot out of Tony. That fight was he put a lot of effort into that. He took huge shots, and he left big parts of himself in that cage that night. Now, Chandler, same thing against Gaethje. I don't think. Yes, Chandler lost the fight. There was elements you can look and say, well, there was times he was winning the fight, he was doing well, but he left big parts of him also in that cage.
Yeah,
he didn't get finished, but he left parts of him in there. So Gaethje has the responsibility. He did this with both, but it is a question of, I've watched now Chandler. That was his last fight. I've watched now with Ferguson. That was the first fight of the downfall. Then he had a couple more. He had the Charles Oliveira, or look at Charles. The arm bar, that was a great attempt, but he still put it on him for the 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. And then Burnell, Dariush, he took Tony down, and although it wasn't horrible, he still took a lot of shots. Yeah. And so the real question
John,
is, what are we getting with both?
I look at the Gaethje fight, though. Tony took it. That was for 5 rounds.
Yes.
Wasn't that for the interim title?
Yes.
That was 5 rounds of damage.
Yes.
Whereas Chandler only took 3 rounds of damage.
That's right. That's my point.
And then Charles and Tony had, that was 3 rounds, correct?
Yes.
That was 3 rounds. But then you had the Dariush thing as well.
3 rounds.
3 rounds. But Chandler's, he's got finished by Oliveira. He had a finish over Hooker, but then he took a lot of damage in that fight with Gaethje.
Yeah.
And Gaethje hits like a truck. I mean, just based off of what I've heard and obviously from what we've all seen. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see if Chandler is the same fighter after that fight.
Yeah, we're going to see.
Because we talk about this all the time. Fighters, they leave a part of themselves in the cage.
But
after fights like that.
But this is the modus operandi for the UFC. If we're going to take 2 guys, both of them coming off of multiple losses, and we're going to put them together because we're going to see which one we're going to continue on with and which one we're going to kind of drop down with. And that's this fight, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight. And both of them still, Chandler's ranked number 5 and Ferguson's number 7. So it's a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely am going to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy to see it.
All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap us up. So go to weighinginpodcast.com, and there is no QR code. There is no and still,
No,
but
there is. Great
there is
product.
sweaters, there's hoodies, there's, wait, is it sweaters or it's sweaters.
Okay, no sweaters. It's a sweatshirt.
There you
Get
go.
away
Okay,
from
we're
your
gonna clear-
sweaters.
So they're sweatshirts. Sorry, guys. Hoodies and sweatshirts. Okay.
There
'Cause
you
I
go.
got
You got
got yelled at by Amanda.
reprimanded.
And reprimanded by Amanda saying, like, there's no sweaters on your guys' thing. I'm like, oh my
Well, she was
gosh.
upset. She goes, "I want there to be sweaters."
Yeah. We gotta look into some female sweaters because
Yes.
yeah. All right, guys. We have a coffee mug. We've got all different colors, long sleeves as well. So we've got black, maroon, gray, heather gray, and white. There's all different colors to choose from. So check those out. It's at weighinginpodcast.com and select something, take a picture of yourself, post it, want to share it. I saw somebody wearing some of our stuff in St. Louis.
Yeah,
Thank
baby.
them all. Everyone in St. Louis, man, they gave us a lot of love.
Yes, they did.
Appreciate that.
They were awesome. Thank
Yep.
you.
They did. And John, take us away.
Everyone out there, I hope you had as much fun watching all the fights this weekend. We had a good time. We definitely had a good time in St. Louis.
Need some
Thank God.
sleep.
Thank God that we got separated because we both need sleep. And we will
Yeah.
hope to see you coming up on our next show. We will see you for this one. Bye-bye.